Chapter 1502. Yi Qianqian held the phone in her hand and froze for a second, then two. Then, he reacted and said, "Holy shit," she moved to your place. Li Jinan lay on the bed and looked at the woman who was sleeping soundly in his arms. He replied, "Well, it might be a little hard for you to be alone in the future." Yi Qianqian was speechless. Pooh. So what if you have a partner? This was discrimination. If it wasn't for me, would you even have a partner? Yi Qianqian cursed Li Jinan 1,000 times over in her heart, but she didn't dare to express her displeasure verbally. She quickly replied, "Yes, yes, yes. I'll be counting on you to take care of my Yu in the future. GM Li, if she doesn't treat you well, don't hold back. Please contact me. I'll teach her a lesson for you." Li Jinan smiled and replied, "Yeah. Thank you. I'm hanging up." "Yes, yes, yes. Goodbye." Presently, even Yi Qianqian herself felt that she was a coward, but the moment she hung up the phone, she screamed, "It's done." Ha 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 ha. He really wanted to find someone to share such a big thing with. Yi Qianqian immediately dialed Yu Lily's number. The call was answered very quickly. "Hello. Lily. Let me tell you, Yi Yu and Li Jinan are together." Yu Lily was shocked. She asked, "What?" Ha 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 ha. "Let me tell you, I've never wanted anyone to be with anyone so much. F***ck, Li Jinan is really fast." Yi Qianqian was on the verge of screaming. "The last time you told me that you could help Yu get a divorce, it was a success in just a few days. In the end, a few days ago, you told me that you were going to kidnap Yu back home. I didn't expect you to succeed again. This third young Master Li is a god." When Yu Lily heard Yi Qianqian's words, which sounded almost like worship, she found it a little funny. She turned the phone on speaker and drew as she replied, "Of course. The Li family is full of freaks. That Li Xiqing is also very powerful. Wow, why don't I have such a Prince Charming? I'm so envious." Yi Qianqian was on the verge of tears. Why is the person by my side always ugly? Even if he doesn't have money, it's fine if he's good-looking. Yu Lily didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you have a man by your side? Don't overestimate your current circle. There isn't even a single male. Yi Qianqian felt as if she had received 100,000 blows. She shouted in grief and indignation, "Can we still be friends? Can't you have some sympathy? I'm sorry. Trust me, you'll find your true love one day. You should be the main character." Good luck. Yi Qianqian was speechless. "Honey, hurry up and bring the quintuplets over for dinner." Oh Ming's voice pierced through the air. Yi Qianqian was speechless. Yu Lily shouted, "I'm coming." She then turned to Yi Qianqian and said, "I'm going to eat. My husband is calling me." 5. Quintuplets. Yi Qianqian thought she had misheard. Did Oh Ming just say quintuplets? Yeah. Yu Lily felt ashamed. This guy has been fantasizing all this time. We haven't found out yet. Yi Qianqian replied, "How dare you? Goodbye, big belly woman. Goodbye, bachelor dog." Yi Qianqian felt as if she had been stabbed twice in the chest. It seemed that calling Yu Lily was wrong. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. It was WeChat. "Shenjilia, have you eaten?" Yi Qianqian had originally wanted to come back and find Yi Yu to eat together. She hadn't expected Yi Yu to be so heartless as to abandon her and run away. Chapter 1503. Shenjilia, why? Sis, I cry, my heart hurts, I want to eat meat. Shenjilia. Didn't you say you were full of anger? Sis, Turn grief and anger into appetite. Shanjilia, where are you? Sis, at home. Shanjilia, I'll pick you up. Let's go to the same place we had last time. The food was pretty good. Yi Qianshan snorted. Okay. After replying to Shanjilia's message, Yi Qianshan immediately opened her WeChat Moments and posted a status, I'm a bully, a bully, a bully. Why did you abandon me? All of you just left after sleeping with me. Did you ever think about my feelings? The accompanying picture was of a crispy fried chicken pointing at its chest and asking, doesn't your conscience hurt? As soon as it was posted, it received many likes in less than a minute. F***CK. What kind of attitude are those who liked it? I'm already so miserable. Why did they like it? Yi Yu was annoyed and pointed her finger at it. Someone in the know immediately left a comment, ha ha ha. You're the only one left. Pity ing. Artist, AAB, ha 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 ha. Artist, ha 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 ha. Editor, Shuang Yao, ha 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 ha. Yi Qianshan gave up. She had posted it on WeChat Moments for comfort, but all she got in return was a bunch of gloating. Her heart hurt, her phone vibrated. It was Shanjilia, come down. Yi Qianshan finally found some comfort. At least there was a single dog like her. She could at least get a free meal. Yi Qianshan grabbed her bag and walked out the door. When she got downstairs, she saw Shanjilia's car from afar. It was a very common car. It was a Volkswagen brand that was commonly seen on the streets, but it was well maintained. Yi Qianshan opened the car door and let out a long breath. Let's go. Barbecue. No. Let's go for barbecue. Yi Qianshan looked like she was ready to risk everything. Anyway, it's like this. Barbecue and beer. Shanjilia laughed. You've really given up on yourself. Yi Qianshan became even angrier. Mind your own business. Let's go. All right. Shanjilia drove slowly. Yi Qianshan found a kebab shop that had a good reputation and ordered a bunch of things the moment she entered. Finally, she opened her mouth and said, a dozen draft beers. Can you drink it? Shanjilia was doubtful. If you can't, then don't force yourself. I don't want to carry you back. Tisk. Yi Qianshan's face was full of disdain. When I was drinking, you were still drinking milk. I'm 2 years older than you. Yi Qianshan looked at him with even more contempt and said, you're exaggerating. Don't you know how to use metaphors? How uncultured. Shanjilia was speechless and said, give me 2 bottles of herbal tea. I'm driving. The waiter nodded. All right, the order has been placed. Please wait a moment. The skewers were soon served, and so were the beers. She slapped the table and suddenly hissed, how could it be like this? There were no signs at all. I'm so hurt. Yi Qianshan gulped it down in big mouthfuls. Yi Yu moved away. Yi Qianshan pursed her lips and nodded her head in grief and indignation. She said, yes, she moved away. If Lily moved away, then so be it. She had an affair with O Ming to begin with. As for Yu, alright, it's normal for her to move away. She has to pursue her own happiness. She's with Li Jinan now. Shanjilia asked as he ate the meat. Are they living together? Yi Qianshan took a big gulp of beer and nodded her head vigorously. Yes, they're living together. So you're living alone? Yeah. There's still an empty room. Give it to me. Dash. Chapter 1504. Yi Qianshan was drinking when she heard what he said. She suddenly choked and coughed violently. She spat out the wine in her mouth and it fell onto the small plate in front of her. Shenjilia couldn't bear to look at it. He pulled out a tissue and handed it to her. Can't you be more careful? Yi Qianqian took the tissue and said, Are you King crazy? How could I live with you? Why not? We're not even in the same room. Shenjilia looked at her with disdain. Don't worry. I'm not interested in you. It's just that it's been too difficult to find a place to live. Your house happens to be close to the hospital. Isn't that perfect? I can sleep a little more every day and feel better. Yi Qianqian sneered. Aren't you rich? Rent a place in my neighborhood. That's too troublesome. I still have to buy furniture and decorate the place. I can just go to your house. Everything is for your own use. At least it'll be clean. That makes sense. After all, there aren't many people in this world who are as obsessed with cleanliness as I am. Yi Qianqian agreed. But I don't think it's appropriate for us to live together. After all, you used to be my sister's uncle. If my sister comes back, it'll be awkward. What's the big deal? It's fine. Why are you afraid of that? Shenjilia took a bite of the skewer and said with disdain, I thought you weren't afraid of anything. Why are you afraid of embarrassment? I'm afraid that you'll be embarrassed. It's okay. I don't mind. Shenjilia smiled. Let's just leave it at that. I've been staying in a hotel recently. It's inconvenient. Ha! You're staying in a hotel? Yi Qianqian was a little confused. Your hospital can assign you a car. Why don't you assign you a staff dormitory? The staff dormitory is terrible. There are too many people, and it's dirty and smelly. I can't stand it. Shenjilia gave her a lamb skewer and said, I get off work early. I get off work at 5:00. After that, I'll go to the market to buy some groceries. You can eat when you come back. Yi Qianqian's eyes lit up. This was a real benefit. Although Shenjilia's culinary skills weren't as good as Yu Lily's, he was much better than her. Then, I won't pay for the groceries. I'll take it as your rent. She took a bite of the lamb skewer and said, Also, you'll have to buy those unnecessary things too. Laundry detergent, paper towels, and the like. You have to remember that in the past, Lily was the one who bought them, and then you. I'm busy. Shenjilia laughed. It's fine if your brain isn't working. Why are you still busy? Busy my *SS. No matter what, I'm still busier than you. Now that you're awesome and free, I'm still struggling at the bottom. Yi Qianqian fiercely bit into the meat and gulped down a mouthful of wine. Besides, this is what you should be doing. I'm the landlord, and I'm the landlady. Yes. Whatever you say. Eat more. Shenjilia stuffed a skewer into her hand and snatched the glass away. Don't drink so much. What do you know? Alcohol is good for the skin. Look at how good my skin is. It's smooth and tender. Yi Qianqian touched her face and raised her eyebrows. Shenjilia replied, That's because the oil got on it. Yi Qianqian glared at him and ignored him. After finishing the skewer, Yi Qianqian almost couldn't walk. Her stomach was bloated, and she held on to Shenjilia's arm the entire way to the car. When they reached home, Yi Qianqian thought that Shenjilia would go straight back to the hotel. Unexpectedly, he took out his luggage from the trunk and said, Let's go. Yi Qianqian was dumbfounded. King prepared this a long time ago. Chapter 1505. Yi Qianqian's face was a little red because she had drunk some beer. When Shenjilia saw her reaction, he locked the car and reached out to pull her inside. Yi Qianqian swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She struggled free and immediately caught up to him. She said, "Hey, hey. You've already planned this all along. You're here to freeload off me." Shenjilia snorted and replied, "You freeload off me for food, but I'm freeloading off you for a place to stay. It's very expensive to stay in a hotel. How much is my monthly salary? If I stay in a hotel for a day, it'll cost me more than $1,000. I can't afford it at all. D*MN, a hotel that costs more than $1,000. You're staying at a 5-star hotel, aren't you? You're so poor, yet you still refuse to stop. Serves you right." Yi Qianqian followed him into the elevator. Yi Qianqian had thought that he would only be moving in the next day. Now that he was moving in all of a sudden, she was caught off guard and found it hard to accept. After entering the elevator, Yi Qianqian suddenly felt conflicted and said, "Shenjilia, why don't we?" At that moment, Yi Qianqian's cell phone rang, and the rest of her words were stuck in her mouth. It was Yi Yuyu. Yi Yuyu seemed to have just woken up. Her voice sounded sluggish as she asked, "Hey, were you looking for me?" When Yi Qianqian heard Yi Yuyu's words, she was a little angry and retorted, "King. Why didn't you tell me that you were moving? That's too much." She stretched, and her thigh brushed against Li Jinan's body as she said, "I forgot." He reached out and hugged her. In a low voice, he asked, "Are you hungry?" When the elevator reached the station, Yi Qianqian heard the man's deliberately lowered voice. She was speechless. She looked at the time and said, "It's already 9 o'clock. Don't tell me you haven't eaten yet." "I haven't eaten yet. I'm hungry." Yi Yuyu rubbed her tummy. "That's all for now. I'm going to eat. Bye." Yi Qianqian was speechless. How did things turn out this way? Could it be that she was already despised by so many people? Key. Shenjilia reached out. Yi Qianqian held the phone in her hand. She looked as if she had been abandoned by the entire world. She felt a little regretful. She looked at him and asked, "Do you really want to stay at my place?" Shenjilia asked, "What do you think?" From the looks of it, yes. Yi Qianqian was on the verge of tears. She was filled with regret. "Is it too late for me to back out now? What do you think? Looks like I won't make it in time." Shenjilia smiled, revealing a row of pearly white teeth. He extended his hand and said, "The key." Yi Qianqian reluctantly handed the keys over and said, "Let me tell you, I'm very arrogant at home. I even sleepwalk. I'm afraid I'll scare you in the middle of the night. It's okay. I'm a doctor. I can treat you. I can even sing in the middle of the night. It's very unpleasant. It doesn't matter. I can sing too. Shall we sing together? Can't you at least show a little bit of fear?" Yi Qianqian was so annoyed that she almost flipped the table. Shenjilia turned to look at her. He thought for a moment and said, "Why don't you try to scare me by pretending to be a ghost? Maybe I'll be scared." "Sure, just you wait." Shenjilia suddenly frowned and looked at her for a while before saying, "Forget it. You already look like a ghost. It'll be awkward if I end up beautifying you. F*CKU. Yi Qianqian stormed into Yi Yuyu's room in exasperation. She made sure she hadn't missed anything before coming out. She didn't expect to hear Shenjilia's voice the moment she stepped out. F*CK. This cup is so small. Is it yours? Dash. Chapter 1506. When Yi Qianqian heard Shenjilia's words, she immediately ran in the direction of the sound. At a glance, she saw Shenjilia holding a drying rack with a small white bra hanging from it. Her face turned red. Yi Qianqian immediately ran over and snatched it away. Are you crazy? How can you look at a girl's underwear? You pervert. Shenjilia laughed even louder and said, Hey, you were the one who hung it out here. I saw it the moment I came over. Don't blame me. F***ck, this is the balcony. Where do you want to hang your clothes if not on the balcony? Besides, this is my home. Yi Qianqian angrily declared her ownership and hid the bra behind her. Then, from the corner of her eye, she saw the underwear and a few socks and bra beside it. She moved her body to block his view. Shenjilia looked at her with contempt and said, Why are you hiding? It's not like you can't see it. As he said that, he pointed 2 fingers at his eyes with his right hand and then moved them to Yi Qianqian's chest. He couldn't bear to look at it and shook his head. Yi Qianqian was furious and shouted, Shenjilia. As she shouted, she extended her leg and kicked him. She flung the bra in her hand at him and said, Pervert. Pervert. Get out. Shenjilia shrank back from the hit and quickly waved his hands. I was just joking. No matter how small it is, it's still bigger than me. Look. As he said that, he pulled his collar down and revealed his well-defined abs. When Yi Qianqian saw it, she gritted her teeth in anger and shouted, Get out. I'm a woman, and you're a man. How dare you compare me to you? Shenjilia looked like he suddenly realized something and said, So you're a woman. Yi Qianqian gritted her teeth in anger, but just as she raised her hand, Shenjilia ran out and said, Ha. I'm going to tidy up the room. Yi Qianqian looked at his back and was a little flustered. Her teeth chattered. She took a deep breath and slowly said, I absolutely can't let him move in. Shenjilia didn't know what Yi Qianqian was thinking at that moment. He carried his luggage in and immediately began to tidy up his things. Yi Yuyu had used a pink bedsheet cover. Shenjilia tore it all off and replaced it with his own dark gray bedsheet. After everything was sorted out, Shenjilia began to tidy up the decorations and other things in the room. Yi Qianqian thought for a long time outside. When she finally thought of a way to drive him away, she finally pushed the door open. However, as soon as he entered the door, he was shocked by the different things inside. The single sofa that had been on the left side of the door had been moved. Not only had the sofa been moved, but even the table that Lily often used to draw had been moved. A small table lamp made of vines was placed on it. The warm yellow light shone out, and the whole room became a little romantic. There was a large pile of books on the desk, and the small bookshelf on it had long been filled up. They were in a completely different world. For the first time, Yi Qianqian felt that a psychiatrist was different from other people. She was a little surprised. Chapter 1507. Yi Qianqian was a little embarrassed when she heard that. She laughed and waved her hands. Why would I? Do you want to take a shower? I still have hot water. Bye. With that, Yi Qianqian closed the door, turned around, and scurried back to her room. She immediately thought of the clothes she had left hanging on the balcony. She opened the door again and swept everything away as quickly as possible. Shenjilia was in a good mood. He found a pair of shorts and went to the bathroom. The shower gel in the bathroom was floral. Shenjilia took one look and put it down in disgust. He rinsed himself with cold water and walked out. Shenjilia didn't have a towel, and he didn't dry himself. He walked out with his upper body bare. Yi Qianqian happened to be walking out of her room. When she saw Shenjilia's state, she was a little flustered. She immediately shouted for him to stop and said, "Can't you put on some clothes? It's not good to walk around like that." Shenjilia didn't care. "It's such a hot day. You don't have to wear anything. I'm busy. I don't usually come out. Don't worry." Yi Qianqian was a little angry. She went to take a shower and dried her hair with a towel. She returned to her room as quickly as she could. For some reason, she felt a little embarrassed. F***ck. If it's always like this in the future, how am I going to live? Li Jinan and Yi Yuyu didn't have dinner, so they naturally went out for supper later that night. It was getting late. There wasn't much to eat nearby. Li Jinan didn't have the habit of cooking his own food, so he had to drive to the city. Yi Yuyu's body was a little sore. After ordering something with Li Jinan, she obediently sat down. She hadn't expected to run into an old acquaintance even at a supper. There was a particularly gossipy woman in Yi Yuyu's department. Her surname was Chiu, and she was known as Gossip Woman Chiu. That gossip woman Chiu had once had a conflict with Yi Yuyu and another colleague, Xiao Su, at the entrance of the company. In the end, Yi Yuyu was taken away by Li Jinan, and the matter was left unresolved. At that moment, gossip woman Chiu hadn't expected to meet Yi Yuyu there. What was even more unexpected was that she would meet someone even more important, Li Jinan. When gossip woman Chiu saw them, she found it hard to believe. She leaned over and exclaimed, "GM Li." When Li Jinan and Yi Yuyu heard that, they immediately turned their heads. When gossip Chiu saw that it was really them, she became excited and said, "It's been a long time. You're also here to eat." "A few of my colleagues and I also came here for dinner." "Are you guys together?" Yi Yuyu didn't feel like talking to him. She glanced at him and lowered her head to drink her tea. However, Li Jinan was not that kind of person. He looked at her and asked, "You are?" Yi Yuyu almost spat out a mouthful of tea. She felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. For a moment, the gossipy Chiu was a little embarrassed. She chuckled and said, "Presidently, you really like to joke." "I'm Xiao Chiu from the administrative department, ha ha ha." When Li Jinan heard that, he nodded his head and said, "Hello." Gossip Chiu was even more embarrassed. She laughed and said, "Then I won't disturb you anymore. I'm leaving." Li Jinan nodded. "Take care." Gossip woman Chiu's face turned ugly, but she could only leave with her tail between her legs, feeling somewhat indignant in her heart. Chapter 1508. Everyone was the same kind of person. Those who were able to hang out together were all people with a lot to talk about. When they heard Chiu's words, everyone turned their heads curiously and asked, "What did you see? Why are you so agitated?" "I just saw Yi Yuyu. She's the Yi Yuyu from our department. She used to be an artist, but she retired from the entertainment industry because of an injury. She was originally the second female lead in a very popular script. Do you still remember her?" Chiu tried her best to remind everyone. "How could I not remember her? Everyone says that she's GM Li's mistress. Did you see her cheating on him?" Chiu slammed her fish down and replied, "I didn't, but I'm guessing that it's true that she's GM Li's mistress. I just saw them together. They were sitting together, and they looked very intimate. Furthermore, they're having supper together at this time. Their relationship is definitely not simple. Didn't you ask?" Someone asked. Chiu was a little unhappy. She replied sourly, "How would I dare? My relationship with Yi Yuyu isn't good to begin with. If I speak to her again, she'll give me the cold shoulder. It'll be ugly." In reality, she had really been given the cold shoulder, and the situation had been very awkward. Chiu knew her place. She didn't dare to go again, but others did. When everyone heard Chiu's words, they began to ask around. After telling them the exact location, they formed groups of 2 or 3 and went to take a peek. When they peeked, they really did see Li Jinan and Yi Yuyu. At this moment, they were eating in a corner, looking very quiet. For such a high-end supper restaurant, business was booming. There were many people coming and going. Yi Yuyu didn't realize that she was being peeked at. Li Jinan could sense it clearly. He said, "Look at your 10 clock." "Who's that?" Yi Yuyu was eating when she looked up. With one glance, she saw a former colleague. Suddenly, Yi Yuyu felt a little impatient. She said, "My former colleague. He's in cahoots with Chiu Chiu. There's an 80% chance that he's secretly taking photos to spread rumors in the office." "What rumors can he spread?" Yi Yuyu laughed coldly. "What kind of rumors can they come up with? It's nothing more than unspoken rules or being kept as a mistress. That's all there is to it. These people have nothing better to do. Instead, they spend all day gossiping. They're full of trouble." When Li Jinan heard that, he nodded his head and said, "Give me the name later." Yi Yuyu nearly choked on her food. She looked up at him in disbelief and asked, "What do you want?" "My company can't afford to hire idlers. In other words, drive it." Yi Yuyu secretly clicked her tongue and said, "They're involved in nepotism. You have to do a thorough investigation." "Oh. I didn't expect it to be so easy." Li Jinan took a mouthful of rice and said, "It's fine. Leave it to my assistant. Send me the name later, and I'll get someone to do it." Yi Yuyu's heart was filled with envy. She clicked her tongue and said, "Being a boss is so capricious." "You can be willful," Li Jinan said with a smile. "In the future, you can fire anyone you don't like, as long as you're happy." "I won't." Although that was what Yi Yuyu said, the corners of her lips couldn't help but curl up in a smile. Chapter 1509. Shen Luo and sat beside Guan Kui's bed. Guan Kui had already fallen asleep. Her even breathing could be heard. She looked very peaceful. Although her face was a little pale, her delicate features were very beautiful. Guan Kui's hand held onto Shen Luo An's hand tightly. It was as if she was afraid that he would escape from her sleep. Shen Luo An was looking at the formulas of various medicines and analyzing their pharmacology. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was from a friend in Kingstown. It was rare to see him, but they were on good terms. When Shen Luo An saw it, he wanted to answer it, but he struggled against Guan Kui's hand. When he realized that he couldn't escape, he gave up and hung up. He replied with a text message. "Someone is sleeping. What's wrong?" The reply came quickly. "I'm having supper. Do you know who I met?" Shen Luo An asked. "Who?" The reply, "Yi Yuyu, your wife. Big brother, you have a green field above your head. From the looks of it, their relationship isn't just 1 or 2 days old. Your field is probably already so thick that it's already shaded." When he read the reply, Shen Luo An stared at it for a moment and didn't know what to say. "A green field above my head. That's not all." Following that, the other party quickly sent over a multimedia message. The picture was quickly uploaded. Yi Yuyu was sitting on a chair eating. Her smile was sweet, and her face was rosy. She looked very happy. A man was sitting across from Yi Yuyu. He had a healthy, wheat-colored complexion, and he was very tall. His facial features were very exquisite, and he looked very healthy and strong. Shen Luo An was very familiar with this man. Who else could it be but Li Jinan? When he saw that face, Shen Luo An gripped his phone tightly and gritted his teeth in anger. He stared at the picture on his phone. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Ha! Indeed, it's already a green field. Even before their divorce, he had suspected that there was something going on between them. If there wasn't a problem, why would Li Jinan come all the way to the capital to instigate Guan Kui? If there wasn't a problem, why would Li Jinan hire a lawyer to sue him for all the dark deeds he had done behind everyone's backs when he knew they were already married? Why would he insist on using their divorce as a bargaining chip? In just a few short months, everything had changed. At that time, if he refused to get a divorce, not to mention the Guan family making a fuss, he would not be able to escape a dispute because of what he had done before. Right now, he couldn't afford any more trouble. The least costly way was to divorce Yi Yu. He had originally thought that their marriage was just a relationship in name only. However, after the divorce, Shen Luo and discovered that things were far from that simple. Especially when he saw this photo, he was even more furious. It had only been a few days since their divorce, and Yi Yu had openly slept with Li Jinan. She had even claimed that there was nothing between them. Pooh! Whore! Shen Luo and squeezed out these two words from between his teeth. However, in the deepest part of his heart, something inexplicable was quietly sprouting and spreading to his heart. This was heartache, unwillingness, and jealousy. Guan Kui was in the midst of her sweet dreams when she felt her hands suddenly tighten. Her brows furrowed tightly as she opened her eyes. Chapter 15:10. When he heard Guan Kui's voice, Shen Luo An's emotions were like a bomb that had been set ablaze. His mind was suddenly engulfed in flames. Shen Luo An released Guan Kui's hand and immediately stood up. Shen Luo An's behavior frightened Guan Kui. Looking at the man beside her, Guan Kui was at a loss and said, "Luo An." Shen Luo An finally realized that he had lost his composure. After calming himself down, he said, "I'm going to the bathroom." Guan Kui looked at him and smiled warmly as she nodded her head. Shen Luo An strode out of the bathroom and closed the door behind him. The smile on Guan Kui's face disappeared. Her gaze landed on the phone that Shen Luo An had just put down. She reached out and took the phone from him. Following her memory, she unlocked the phone and saw the page on the phone. It was a picture of Yi Yu and that person. Guan Kui stared at the picture. She understood why Shen Luo An had lost his composure. Yi Yu. Yi Yu. Shen Luo An is still thinking about Yi Yu. How is that possible? What's so good about Yi Yu? Why had he been thinking about her since so many years ago? Why hadn't he ever seen her? Now that I've finally managed to tie him to my side, and we're finally going to have our wedding, why does Yi Yu have to appear again? The jealousy that had been buried deep in her heart couldn't be suppressed and surged up. Suddenly, the door to the washroom opened. Guan Kui immediately locked the phone and put it back. When she saw Shen Luo An, the smile on Guan Kui's face froze. She said, "Luo An, our wedding is almost here. Since it's less than a month away, why don't we go get our marriage certificate first?" Guan Kui's words shocked Shen Luo An. "Get our marriage certificate? With me at this time?" Shen Luo An felt that it was inappropriate. The resistance in his heart grew. He looked at Guan Kui. When he saw the pale and weak smile on her face, his first thought was of Yi Yu. If it weren't for Yi Yu, Guan Kui's life wouldn't be like this. Based on Guan Kui's excellence, she could live a better life than Yi Yu. He wanted to atone for Yi Yu. He wanted to make it up to Guan Kui. That was what Yi Yu owed him, and it was also what he owed her. However, that was what his rationality told him, but the resistance in his heart grew stronger. Shen Luo An looked at her for a long time before saying, "You've been doing well recently, but it's still not suitable for you to go out. I'll take you out when you're discharged, okay? Be good." The smile on Guan Kui's face froze. She nodded her head and replied, "All right, I'll listen to you. I heard that Mommy and Daddy have already drafted a guest list. We've even invited Yu. Although she's the one who caused me to end up like this, she's still my sister. She should be invited to my wedding. Don't you agree, Luofen? Invite Yi Yu to the wedding. Ha! Shen Luofen was momentarily stunned. After a long time, he said, you can decide. I don't mind. Guan Kui smiled brightly and said, I knew you were the most considerate. Luofen, come here. Chapter 15:11. As Guan Kui spoke, she wrapped her arms around Shen Luofan's neck and stared at him. Shen Luofan's body froze. He stiffened. Guan Kui could sense it clearly. She tightened her arms around him and asked softly, Luofen, you haven't forgotten her? Her. Is this her that I know or that I know her? Regardless of which she is, I'll never forget her. One is my first love, and the other is my first night. Shen Luofen didn't know how to answer her. He turned to look at her. Guan Kui met his gaze and reached out to caress his face. She said, Luofen, we're getting married next month. Shen Luofan's emotions were complicated. He looked at Guan Kui and replied, I know. Don't worry. It won't affect our wedding. Luofen. Guan Kui reached out and hugged Shen Luofen. In a low voice, she said, if you don't want to marry me, let's just leave it at that. No, Shen Luofen interrupted her. He lowered his head and kissed her on the cheek. There's no such thing. Don't think too much. Guan Kui felt wronged and asked, then why don't you want me? I know my figure isn't good. I've been bedridden all these years, and I haven't developed well. I already said don't think too much. Shen Luofen rebuked her. His tone was stern as he interrupted her. I just want to save the best for our wedding night. Shen Luofan's eyes were serious as he looked at Guan Kui and said, isn't the best thing for a girl the first time? He planted a gentle kiss between her eyebrows and said softly, let's wait until our wedding night before we leave behind the most beautiful things, okay? Guan Kui didn't believe him. When she saw Shen Luofan's serious expression, all her doubts were dispelled. She looked at Shen Luofen and nodded her head. She snuggled into Shen Luofan's arms and said, okay. I hope that everything will go smoothly. I hope that when the time comes, Shen Luofen will be completely disappointed in Yi Yu. If I can't have it, no one else can have it. At the same time, no one else could even dream of getting what was hers. Hatred rose in Guan Kui's heart. However, it was all buried in that warm embrace, unable to see the light of day. Yi Yu woke up early in the morning. When she opened her eyes, the sky had just brightened. Li Jinnan slept beside her. His breathing was even, and his arms circled her in his embrace. Their movements were intimate, and there was no gap between them. When Yi Yu saw him, she felt a little relieved. Eileen Chang once said, the shortcut to a woman's heart is sex. In just a few days, an indescribable relationship had been forged between them. For the first time, Yi Yu clearly understood that they were already together. However, he couldn't fall asleep no matter what. She gently nudged him and called out, Li Jinnan. He reached out and pulled her into his arms. His eyes were still tightly shut as he asked, what's wrong? His voice was low and hoarse, as if he had just woken up. When Yi Yu heard that voice, the softest part of her heart softened. She wrapped her arms around his narrow waist and said, are we really going to your house today? I'm not ready yet. Let's not go, okay? Chapter 15:12. Li Jinnan hadn't opened his eyes the entire time. When he heard Yi Yu's words, his lips curled up in a smile as he asked, what do you think? Looks like it won't work. Yi Yu felt wronged and replied, I'm scared. What are you afraid of? Li Jinnan raised his thigh and clamped it between her legs as he asked, are you afraid that I'll abandon you after making use of you? As he spoke, he rubbed his stubbled chin against her face. Yi Yu turned her head away in disgust and replied, I'm afraid that your parents won't like me. Besides, don't you think it's too soon for us to meet our parents? Who told you that I'm going to see my parents? Li Jinan chuckled and opened his eyes. That pair of eyes, pitch black and bright, appeared especially dazzling under the bright light of the surroundings. Yi Yu was caught off guard. Her heart skipped a beat, and her heart raced. Li Jinan leaned in slightly and sucked on her lips as he said, I'll take you to see my grandfather. Is it different? Yi Yu turned her head away and smacked him. With a look of disdain, she said, I haven't brushed my teeth. Don't kiss me. When Li Jinan heard that, he didn't avoid it. Instead, he leaned in closer and said, Great. You despise me. The large hand directly lifted the blanket and said, I'll let you have a taste of my prowess. As he spoke, his fingers were placed under her armpit, unscrupulously playing tricks. Yi Yu was ticklish. As soon as she touched her, she shrank back. She laughed loudly and begged for mercy, No, don't touch me. It's too late. After washing up, it was already past 9 in the morning. Yi Yu made some simple breakfast. When she brought it to the dining table, Li Jinan was on the phone. Looking at the delicious breakfast, he suddenly felt a sense of happiness in his heart. The corners of Li Jinan's mouth turned up as he spoke into the phone, Soon. Give me an hour, and I'll be home in no time. Yi Yu heard the voice on the other end of the line explode. What? An hour? You think this old man is easy to bully? You said you would come this morning. What time is it now? The voice on the other side of the phone was old, but it was full of energy and had a very dignified aura. Yi Yu didn't have to guess to know who the person was. Li Jinan put the phone away and made sure that there was no more talking on the other side. Then he said, That's it. Goodbye, Grandpa. Old Captain Li Sun seemed to want to say something, but Li Jinan quickly hung up. He didn't show any mercy. Yi Yu sat in front of Li Jinan and asked, Your grandfather? Yeah, they're rushing me. There's no rush. Take your time. Li Jinan ate his breakfast unhurriedly. Yi Yu harumphed. With a grandson like you, your grandfather will probably be furious. My grandfather is always proud of me. Li Jinan boasted shamelessly. However, the military might of my family can only rely on my big brother. I still have to get married and have children. What kind of twisted logic is that? Yi Yu scoffed. She couldn't help but laugh. Didn't your big brother marry a wife and have children? You're already 30 years old. How old is your eldest brother? Recommending the new book, 99 Days of Hidden Marriage, Minister, please be reserved. On the surface, he was a cold-hearted young master who was loyal to his country, but in secret, he was an all-powerful and mysterious monarch. She calculated every step of the way and cheated him of all his firsts. Then, she left all his assets and ran away. Who knew that the next day, she would be brought to the church at knife point? He announced loudly, Marry or die. Marry, marry, marry. I'll marry, all right. Chapter 15:13. What kind of logic is that? Yi Yu scoffed. She couldn't help but laugh. Hasn't your older brother married and had children? You're already 30. How old is your older brother? My older brother. Li Jinan did a quick calculation. 34, his wedding is at the end of the month. When he's done, it'll be our turn. Yi Yu was caught off guard when she heard that. She looked up at Li Jinan. Li Jinan was focused on his breakfast. When he noticed her gaze, he looked up and asked, What's the matter? Do you really want to marry me? Yi Yu found it a little too sudden. Everything had happened so quickly that it was unbelievable. Li Jinan gave her a look that said, "You're talking nonsense." He replied, "If I don't marry you, I'll be behaving like a hooligan if I sleep with you. If my grandfather finds out, I'll be punished. It's such a thick braid." As he spoke, he raised 2 fingers. "Not only is it thick, but it's also soaked in oil. It's no laughing matter. Years ago, I was beaten by it until I was hospitalized for several days. The pain was so severe that I couldn't even take care of myself." Yi Yu clicked her tongue when she heard that and asked, "Your family is so strict, of course." Li Jinan couldn't bear to recall the past. When he thought of the whip, he felt uncomfortable. "Why were you punished in the past?" Yi Yu propped her chin on her hand and looked at him curiously. Li Jinan took a sip of soy milk and replied, "I retired. I didn't want to work anymore. My old man was furious. He whipped me more than 10 times." His words were spoken casually, but Yi Yu could tell that it wasn't as easy as he made it sound. Yi Yu lowered her head and continued eating her breakfast. She took a bite, but her mind was elsewhere. When Li Jinan saw her expression, he was amused. He looked at her with a half-smile and asked, "You don't intend to marry me?" Yi Yu paused in the act of eating. She looked up at him and replied, "I just got divorced. I didn't expect it to be so soon." The smile on Li Jinan's face gradually faded. He slowly said, "Right now, we're only missing a marriage certificate. We've done everything that we should and shouldn't have done." His words were so blatant that Yi Yu felt conflicted. She said, "It's not that simple, GM Li." Li Jinan put down his chopsticks and looked at her. His eyes were dark and dangerous as he asked, "What did you call me? You've eaten your fill, and now you want to wash your hands clean. How could it be so simple?" Yi Yu sensed that something was amiss. After a moment of silence, she replied, "I'm used to it." "Correct yourself." Li Jinan's tone brooked no argument as he said, "You can't call me that in front of my grandfather. Anyway, I don't like it." "Oh." Yi Yu took a sip of the soy milk. She couldn't bring herself to be in a good mood. She thought about it and said, "You said that your grandpa already knows, but do your parents know? Do they know that I'm divorced?" "I don't know. But they don't even know that I have a girlfriend. They will find out sooner or later. But for now, I have to deal with the old one. The rest can be dealt with slowly." For a moment, Yi Yu was at a loss for words. She asked, "Your grandfather looks like he's easy to talk to. Are you actually afraid of him?" Chapter 15-14. When Yi Yu heard that, she blinked her eyes and asked, "Your mother is difficult to deal with?" "Yeah." Li Jinan took a sip of soy milk and replied, "My grandfather's ideas have been wild for the past few years. In comparison, my mother has been more traditional since she was a child. She might not be able to accept some of the newer ideas and strange things. For example, Yi Yu's divorce. Based on Qin Shuhua's personality, she probably wouldn't be able to accept it. Even if she could, it would take some time and effort. The one with the most authority in the family was grandfather. As long as grandfather gave the word and allowed Yi Yu to be with him, even if Qin Shuhua had any objections, it wouldn't be as forceful. Li Jinan was well aware of that. From the very beginning, he had no intention of bringing Yi Yu to meet his parents. When Yi Yu heard Li Jinan's words, she began to worry and asked, "What if your mother finds out that I'm divorced? Won't that be troublesome?" "A little, but it's not a big problem. She'll accept it sooner or later." Li Jinan put down his cup and looked at Yi Yu. With a mischievous look in his eyes, he asked, "Are you worried about our marriage?" Yi Yu finally reacted. She blushed and said, "No way. I just feel that if she doesn't agree, it'll be troublesome. Li Jinan looked at her with a smile and said, "It's fine. Leave it to me. Let's go. The old man is waiting for us." The old man. When Yi Yu heard that, she chuckled. "Why do you call your grandfather that? Won't he beat you up if he hears that? I call him that in front of him too. He's done a lot of stupid things. My second brother hates him to death." Li Jinan shrugged and cleared the dishes. "I'll wash them when we get back." Yi Yu placed the dishes back in the sink and said, "It'll be quick. Give me a few minutes." Then, she boiled the water and quickly washed the dishes. There weren't many dishes, but they were quick. When she was done, Yi Yu changed into her shoes and walked out the door. Li Jinan had already prepared the car. They locked the door and got into the car. By the time the two of them arrived at the old mansion, it had been almost an hour. The old man was already waiting in the living room. When he heard the doorbell ring, he immediately asked Lu Sa to open the door. Suppressing his desire to immediately stand up and see who it was, old Master Li sat on the sofa with great self-control. He looked at the door and stretched his neck. Very quickly, Li Jinan walked in. When Lu Sa saw the girl behind Li Jinan, her eyes lit up and she said, "She's really pretty. Come on in." "This is Lu Sa," Li Jinan introduced. Yi Yu smiled and nodded. "Hello, Lu Sa." Lu Sa grinned and looked very happy. She said, "This is the first time third young master has brought a girl back. Come in and sit." "Lu Sa, get her a pair of shoes to change into," Li Jinan said. Lu Sa then reacted and said, "Look at me." Then, he took out a new pair of slippers from the shoe cabinet. After putting them down, he looked in the direction of the sofa and said, "Old Master, he's here." Old Master Li had stretched his neck to look forward, but when he heard Lu Sa's words, he immediately retracted his head and pretended not to see anything. He leaned back on the sofa and closed his eyes to rest. When he heard Lu Sa's words, he lazily opened his eyes. It was as if he had just come back to his senses. He replied, "He's here. Come and sit." Yi Yu felt a little uneasy as she looked at Li Jinan. Chapter 15:15. Li Jinan gave her a look of encouragement and reached out to hold her hand. Yi Yu became even more nervous. Her heart started to race. She had long heard of old Captain Li Sun's reputation. Regardless of whether it was from the Shen family or Yi Zhenhua, everyone had a very good opinion of General Li Sun. Furthermore, he was very tall. Every time they mentioned him, Yi Yu's mind would be filled with the image of a stern and awe-inspiring man in armor. Although he was advanced in age, he still looked very imposing from afar. At a glance, he exuded authority without being angry. Yi Yu followed Li Jinan over with light footsteps. When they got closer, old Captain Li Sun opened his eyes wide and looked at Yi Yu. Yi Yu obediently greeted him, "Hello, old general." When old Captain Li Sun heard that, he nodded his head and replied, "Hello. Have a seat." Li Jinan cleared his throat and helped Yi Yu sit down on the sofa. He said, "Don't stand on ceremony. My grandfather isn't fierce. Just treat this as your own home." When Li Sun heard that, he nodded his head. "It's only me and Xiaoyou's wife in the house now. Don't be nervous. What's your name?" "My surname is Yi." "My name is Yu." Yi Yu smiled. It was obvious that she was nervous. She reached out and pressed her palms together. She said, "My father asked me to send his regards to you. Thank you for saving his life all those years ago." Old Captain Li Sun hadn't expected Yi Yu to suddenly bring that up. He assumed that she was trying to worm her way into his good graces and asked, "Who is your father?" "He said that he hasn't seen you in many years," Yi Yu said. "I'm guessing that you've forgotten him. His name is Yi Zhenhua. He's the bad boy who drives geese in Yun Town." That was what Yi Zhenhua had told her to pass on. When old Captain Li heard that, he immediately remembered and asked, "Yi Huifeng's son, right?" When Yi Yu heard that, she immediately nodded her head and replied, "Yes." Li Sun laughed. "I didn't expect that kid's daughter to be all grown up." In the blink of an eye, more than a decade has passed. Time sure flies. Yi Yu looked at him with a smile. She reached out and grabbed Li Jinnan's hand. Li Jinnan squeezed her palm and said, "Grandpa, let me make you some tea." I'm coming." Lu Sa's water had just boiled, and she said, "Second young master recently brought some Jin Junmei from an unknown place to the old master. He hasn't started brewing it yet." As she spoke, she put down 2 bags of tea leaves. She looked at Yi Yu with a smile in her eyes and asked, "How old are you, Miss Yi?" 25. "Oh. I thought you were 21 or 22. You look so young and fair. So pretty." Lu Sa smiled and looked at the old man. "Don't you think so?" The old man nodded. "That's right. However, Yi Zhenhua is quite rough. You probably took after your mother." Yi Yu nodded her head. "I do look more like my mother." Li Jinan had already started brewing tea. He warmed the tea set and said, "This is the girl I told you about. She's pretty, has a good personality, and has a good heart. Everything about her is perfect." Old Captain Li harumphed. He couldn't resist smiling as he said, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Do you think I don't know you? If she's good, you're good in everything. If she's bad, you're bad in everything. Would you still want her?" As he spoke, he looked at Yi Yu. "This girl is indeed not bad. I also know her father and grandfather. They're both honest people." Chapter 15-16. Old Captain Li turned his head away and harumphed. "It's not up to me to decide. You'll have to depend on your mother." "What do I say?" When Li Jinan saw that, he knew that old Captain Li had a good impression of Yi Yu. He quickly struck while the iron was hot and said, "Grandfather, you're the head of the family. If you don't have the final say, who does? I reckon that even if my mother finds out, she'll only object to it symbolically. The main decision is still in your hands. Come, have some tea." Li Jinan courteously poured the tea and offered it to him with both hands. He said, "This is top-notch Jin Junmei. Chief Li loves it the most." Old Captain Li pouted slightly and turned his head away. The aroma of the tea wafted toward him, and he couldn't control it any longer. In the end, he reached out and took the teacup from Li Jinan. "You're such a busybody. I wouldn't dare." Li Jinan looked at him with a smile. Yi Yu observed the atmosphere. She opened her handbag and retrieved a red box from it. She said, "I brought you a little something. I figured that you wouldn't be lacking anything, so I didn't bring anything particularly expensive." She opened the box. Inside was a beautiful and intricate beeswax figurine. It was orange-yellow in color and had a full luster. The color was bright and glossy. The lines were smooth and majestic. The figure was that of a young man. Judging from the way he was dressed, he bore a striking resemblance to old Captain Li when he was younger. When old Captain Li saw it, his murky eyes lit up. He was absolutely stunned. When he saw Yi Yu pass it over, he reached out to pick up the figurine. He looked it over and said, "It's really not bad. Did you custom make this?" "Yeah. I saw a black and white photo of you in my father's room, so I took a picture of it and got the craftsman to make one for me, Yi Yu replied with a smile. That's very thoughtful of you. Old Captain Li's impression of the girl improved. He laughed and said, You're Yu, right? You're a smart girl. Come, have some tea. The moment Li Sun said that, Li Jinan immediately picked up the teacup and handed it to Yi Yu. In a low voice, he said, You hit it pretty well. Why didn't I know that you made this? It looks pretty good. There's a lot you don't know. If I hadn't remembered it myself, you wouldn't have reminded me to bring anything. How rude of you, Yi Yu said softly. Although her voice was soft, old Captain Li heard it clearly. Yi Yu accepted the teacup but didn't drink it herself. Instead, she stood up and said, Lu Sa, have some tea. Lu Sa was flattered. She hurried forward to take it and said, Thank you, thank you. You drink it too. Captain. Yi Yu sat with Li Jinan for a while longer. After having lunch with Captain Li, she left. Li Xiao and Qin Shuhua hadn't been home recently, so the house seemed especially deserted. Li tu tu tu. Li tu 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 li tu tu li li. Li Xiqing's first sentence cut the conversation short. Li Jinan touched his nose and replied, How could I? I'm at the old manor now. Only Lu Sa is keeping grandfather company. Why don't you bring the kids back for a walk? When he heard that, Li Xiqing narrowed his eyes and asked, Whose kids are you walking? Chapter 15-17. Then he thought of something and said, I heard that you're going to bring your girlfriend back for Grandpa to see. Are you bringing her today? Yes, I did. Grandpa seems to have a good impression of her. Li Jinan had a happy expression on his face as he replied, You should have met her before. She was Yi Qianqian's younger sister the last time we went on a trip. Do you remember her? Yi Qianqian's younger sister? Li Xiqing thought about it and asked, Who is Yi Qianqian? Forget it. I'd better head back. Hurry up and take the children to the old manor. You should come back and work by yourself. Your sister-in-law has been vomiting a lot recently. How can you bear to see me in the company all day? He began to play the emotional card. At least your sister-in-law took care of you when you were in the hospital. Now you're leaving everything to me. My wife can't be with you anymore. Your sister-in-law is pregnant and taking care of 3 naughty kids. Stop. Li Jinan was exasperated. I don't have much for you to do in the company. Furthermore, you've only taken care of some small matters. Haven't I been left to handle the bigger ones? Hearing that, Li Xiqing calmly said, Those things can't be handled by an agent, so I'll leave it to you. If you don't handle it well, it will be troublesome. Li Jinan was speechless. Also, we agreed on 3 days. It's already the 2nd day. You have to come back tomorrow to help me. I have to accompany your sister-in-law for a prenatal checkup tomorrow. Li Xiqing looked at the time and said, That's enough talk. Your sister-in-law is asking me to go home for dinner. When you're done, come to Yushio and drag those brats back to the old house. That way, I can have a few days alone. After that, he hung up the phone. Li Jinan was speechless. Hearing the busy tone from the other side of the phone, his heart was in a mess. No matter how hard he tried, he could never be as thick-skinned as Li Xiqing. However, he couldn't refute any of his reasons. Let's go to my brother's house, Li Jinan said helplessly. Yi Yu asked, Where are you going? Go and bring these little ancestors to the old mansion. By the time Li Jinan arrived at Yushio Villa District, it was almost 1 p.m. He pressed the doorbell, and soon, the sound of children running could be heard from inside. Li Mosin shouted, Who is it? It's me, uncle, Li Jinan replied. Li Mosin quickly opened the door. When he saw Li Jinan, he smiled happily, but when he saw Yi Yuyu behind Li Jinan, he asked, "Who is this auntie?" "My girlfriend. Call me auntie." Li Jinan walked in and looked inside. Yi Yuyu reached out to smack him and said, "Don't misguide the child." Li Mosen ignored Yi Yuyu and listened to Li Jinan. He obediently greeted, "Hello, auntie." Yi Yuyu was a little embarrassed by the way he addressed her and quickly replied, "Hello." Li Jinan walked in and saw Li Xiqing sitting on the sofa with Su Qianxi. They were looking at the tablet computer, very close. Her 2-month-old belly was inconspicuous. It was just that her movement of stroking her belly was very easy to imagine. "Second brother, second sister-in-law, you're here." Without looking back, Li Xiqing said, "I'm done." Li Jinan replied, "I'm not here to freeload." "Yeah, the child is inside. Take him away." "Ursu, Daddy, am I really your biological son?" Chapter 15-18. Li Jinan was a little flustered. He asked angrily, "Second brother, do you really not welcome me?" Li Xiqing looked at him lazily and asked, "Why did you ask if you already knew?" Su Qianxi chuckled and gave Li Xiqing a nudge. She said, "How can you treat your brother like that? Be careful that the children learn from you." Li Xiqing hugged Su Qianxi tightly and whispered, "Don't worry. My son won't do that." Su Qianxi turned her head away in disgust and looked at Yi Yuyu. She was shocked and exclaimed, "Yuyu." "Ah." Yi Yuyu was a little embarrassed and said, "Hi, Qian." "Oh my God, you're with my uncle." Su Qianxi couldn't believe it. She looked at Li Jinan and said, "You're too fast." She had just heard that Yi Yuyu had gotten divorced a few days ago. How did she end up with Li Jinan in the blink of an eye? Ah, that's right, Li Jinan had already had some feelings for Yi Yuyu. When she heard that he was bringing someone home, she thought that since Yi Yuyu had just gotten divorced, it couldn't be her. Unexpectedly, Su Qianxi was dumbfounded when she came back. That was good. It was highly likely that they had gotten together before Yi Yuyu had gotten a divorce, hadn't it? With that thought, Su Qianxi suddenly felt a little sinister. But that feeling was getting stronger and stronger. The way she looked at Yi Yuyu and Li Jinan was filled with curiosity. Yi Yuyu was a little embarrassed by Su Qianxi's straightforward words and said, "Well, it wasn't that fast." Li Jinan was a lot more at ease. He put his arm around Yi Yuyu's shoulder and said, "It wasn't that fast. I brought her home to meet her." She turned to look at Li Mosen and said, "Mosen, get Daesu and Ursu out. Let them meet their future aunt." When Li Mosen heard that, he immediately turned and ran in. He shouted, "Daesu, Ursu. Has Grandpa been bored at home lately?" Su Qianxi couldn't bear it and said, "I was thinking that with Lu Sa accompanying Grandpa, he would probably get along well with her. The children are a little noisy, and I was afraid that they would disturb his rest." "How could that be? After all, he's my great-grandson. Grandpa can't wait to dote on him. How could I dislike him?" Li Jinan pulled Yi Yuyu to sit down and said, "Grandpa's room is soundproof, and the house is huge. If Grandpa finds it too noisy, he'll find a place to hide. Don't be afraid." Su Qianxi nodded. "You are so thoughtful. I did not think of this." However, Li Xiqing saw through his intentions at a glance and said, "This may be one of the reasons, but the most fundamental reason is that you want to use the children, right?" When Li Jinan heard that, his expression turned serious. He said, "Second brother, how could you think that way? I'm doing this for grandfather's own good. I'm afraid that he'll be bored at home. That's why I thought of bringing the children back." "Well, you used the children's mouths to tell Mom and Dad that you had a girlfriend. When they interrogated you, you pretended to tell them about it and then tricked them. TSK. Li Xiqing couldn't bear to look at it and said, what an unfilial son. Yi Yuyu and Su Qianxi hadn't thought of that at all. They both looked at Li Jinnan. Chapter 15:19. These words were tantamount to a direct admission. Yi Yuyu secretly clicked her tongue. What a deep trap. She thought he simply thought that Elder Tang might be bored at home, so he wanted to take the kids home. Who knew, there was a deeper meaning behind it. Li Xiqing stopped talking, and then there was the sound of children jumping upstairs. When she saw Li Jinnan, she ran down with a smile and shouted, Uncle. Auntie is here too. Li Jianyue had bathed with Yi Yuyu previously, so she had a deeper impression of her than Li Mosen. Li Jinnan waved at Li Jianyue and said, Ursu, come here. Li Ursu immediately jumped over. Su Qianxi was shocked and yelled, be careful. Li Ursu, on the other hand, was bold. She quickly jumped down and ran toward Li Jinnan. She threw herself onto his lap and called out coquettishly, little uncle. He picked her up and asked, did Daddy and Mommy take you to school recently? No, I've been taking exams recently. Li Jianyue giggled. The test was too easy. I finished it in one go and every question was correct. Oh. What test? It's the entrance exam. In September, I'll be going to primary school, Li Jianyue said proudly. My brothers are going to primary school too. But Brother Mosen seems to be able to enter the 3rd grade. So powerful. Skipping a grade. When Li Jinnan said that, he looked in Li Xiqing's direction. Yes, I skipped a grade. I passed the test. I scored 100 points in English, mathematics, and English. Li Xiqing sounded a bit satisfied. She could have been in the 5th grade, but the jump should not be too big. It is not good for her future development. Why do I feel like you're showing off? No, I'm just making a statement. Li Xiqing's tone was flat. If you want to take the child home, hurry up. I still have work to do. Isn't sister-in-law at home? You should go. She's coming with me. Li Xiqing hugged his wife tightly and said, I'm worried about the children at home. Take them away quickly. Li Jianyue blinked and asked, Daddy, where are we going? Go to Grandpa's house and stay for a few days. Lately, Great-Grandpa has been alone at home and is very bored. I hope you guys can accompany him. Su Qianxi said, in a few days, when Grandpa and Grandma come back from their trip, you can come home. She looked at Li Jianxian, who was walking over, and said, Brother, we can play with great-grandfather again. Li Jianxian nodded his head and replied, all right, Dad. I'm done with my homework. Take a look. Handing over the book, Li Xiqing quickly flipped through it. About 2 minutes later, he nodded and said, okay, but the last question is wrong. Come here, I'll explain it to you. Li Jianxian walked over obediently, stood aside, and looked at the book. Li Xiqing pointed at the questions and began to explain them in detail. That sounded familiar to Yi Yuyu. She replied, this question seems a little difficult. Which grade is it for? Chapter 15:20. Li Jianxian listened attentively. Li Xiqing's explanation was very detailed. Even Yi Yuyu and Li Jinnan had already come up with the question that they hadn't seen. After explaining, Li Jianxian picked up the pen and did it again. This time, it was completely correct. Li Xiqing nodded his head in satisfaction and said, go on. Pack up and follow your uncle to Grandpa's house. Oh. Li Jianxian put the notebook away. With a natural expression, he quickly walked up the stairs. Li Jinnan clicked his tongue and shook his head. He asked, I say, second brother, how did you teach these kids? I taught them myself. Teach the three of them at the same time. Li Jinan looked at Li Jianyue in his arms and felt that it was a little unrealistic. Li Xiqing also looked at Li Jianyue and nodded his head. In a meaningful tone, he said, how much the three of them can learn will depend on luck. Li Jinan felt the same way. Once again, he wondered if the hospital had swapped the wrong babies when they were giving birth. Li Jianyue seemed to know that they were talking about her. She blinked her eyes and looked around. Then, she asked, Daddy, are you and Mommy going to the hospital to see little brother tomorrow? Yeah. I'm going to see if little brother is obedient in Mommy's tummy. Li Xiqing's gaze softened. He tilted his head and stroked Su Qianxi's belly. I hope his brain will develop better in the future. Su Qianxi reached out and pushed him away. She glared at him. Li Xiqing chuckled and stood up. Let's go to the office. Leave the children to third brother. Li Jinan was a little confused. Aren't you afraid that I'll sell these children? Sell them. I have work to do with your sister-in-law, Li Xiqing said as he held Su Qianxi's hand. When you go out later, remember to bring their luggage with you. Let them carry it themselves. Don't help them carry it, especially the little one. Li Jianyue snorted and pouted. Daddy is too naughty. I don't want to carry the luggage. No, Uncle isn't here to help you carry the luggage. You have to carry it yourself, Li Xiqing rejected. Li Jianyue was a little unhappy. She got off Li Jinan and ran up to the second floor. Su Qianxi was a little unhappy to see her daughter. She nudged Li Xiqing and said, they are still young. Don't be too strict with them. You have to teach them well when they're young. You spoil them too much. Li Xiqing took her hand and said, the children of the Li family can't be raised as children. Grandpa is old now. You don't know how we were raised when we were young. The memory was still fresh in Li Jinan's mind. He said, Grandfather believed in this saying, a filial son is born of the rod. The moment we were disobedient, he would give us a few strokes of the rod until we became obedient. Li Xiqing said, it has been proven to be very effective. Just look at third brother. Third elderly. Second brother is more effective. After all, he is grandfather's favorite grandson. Well, at least I won't screw up when everyone is looking forward to it. I won't be whipped and lose a layer of my skin. At least I asked for my wife myself. Nothing is set in stone yet. You can get past the old man, but can you handle Mom? Li Xiqing looked at Li Jinan with disdain. Third young masterly, why are you still so naive? Second young masterly is just as rude as before. Li Jinan was speechless. He reached into his pocket and took out a pack of cigarettes. Chapter 1521. Li Jinan had just taken out a cigarette. When he heard that, he immediately stuffed it back in and said angrily, why aren't you leaving? Li Xiqing's lips curled up slightly. He held his wife's hand and opened the door. When they finally left, Li Jinan stuffed the pack of cigarettes back and said, children, are you done? Ursu is still packing. Uncle, wait for us. Li Jianqian's voice was very loud. It came from the second floor. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the little ones dragged their small boxes down. Each of them had a small box. Li Jianyue was carrying a pink ice snow princess box with cute little stickers on it. She was also holding a big Barbie doll in her arms. It was obviously a little difficult to carry the small box. She pouted and said, Daddy is bad. Ursu can't carry it. Uncle, it's heavy. Li Jinan glanced at it and went forward to weigh it. He said, it's really a little heavy. Li Jianyue nodded and immediately said, right? Uncle, you think so too, right? Then can you help Ursu carry it? Thank you, Uncle. Li Jianyue had a pair of big eyes, and she looked at him with a pair of watery eyes. Li Jinan was indifferent. He stuffed the small box back into her hands and said, I promised your father that I wouldn't help you. I can't help you. Otherwise, I will be breaking my promise. I can't do this. The little girl pouted and whispered, if you don't say it, and I don't say it, no one will know. Li Jinan chuckled and pinched her little face. He said, how can that be? There are no walls in the world that have ears. As a person, you can't do bad things, and you can't lie. Otherwise, it will be very embarrassing if the truth is revealed one day. The little girl didn't quite understand, but she finally understood that Li Jinan wasn't going to help her. He hugged the doll angrily and dragged the small box with him as he strode forward. Her small body was trembling and full of energy, but her temper was a little big. Yi Yuyu was amused by her behavior and said, you really don't plan to help her. Children can't be spoiled. Otherwise, she will get used to it. As Li Jinan spoke, he looked at the two little fellows behind him and said, hurry up and catch up. You're both older brothers. Li Jianqian was carrying a small sapphire blue box with no patterns on it. Li Mosin was carrying a golden transformer, which looked a little cool. Yi Yuyu found it a little strange and asked, who bought your little boxes for you? Daddy bought them. We picked them ourselves. Li Jianyue turned her head and smiled. I like little princesses the most. Her little face was all smiles, as if the anger from before had dissipated with the wind. Yi Yuyu was speechless. This little girl changed too quickly. Li Jinan chuckled. He pulled her into his arms and said, let's go home. I'm going too. Yi Yuyu felt a little afraid. Didn't you say that your parents are coming back today? What's there to be afraid of? Let's meet her together when we're back. As he spoke, he looked at the little ones and asked, do you know who she is? I know. Auntie Yuyu. Li Jianyue answered quickly. Li Mosin quickly replied, Auntie. Chapter 1522. Li Jianyue was immediately elated. She laughed heartily and shouted, little uncle is the best. After buying all the gifts, the children were overjoyed. By the time they returned to the old mansion, it was already 3 p.m. The children carried their own luggage and walked forward. When they reached home, they found Li Xiao and Qin Shuhua's car parked at the entrance. Li Jinan knew he was in trouble when he saw it. They had really bumped into each other. When Yi Yuyu saw it, she couldn't help but feel nervous. She asked, is this your father's car? He's really back. What should we do? What's there to be afraid of? Li Jinan didn't seem to care at all. It's just a meeting. If you don't want to see them, we can leave now. When Li Mosin heard the adults talking, he asked, little auntie, don't you want to see my grandparents? Grandpa and Grandma are very nice people. Yeah. Grandpa and Grandma love us very much. Grandma often cooks sweet soup for us. It's especially sweet. As Li Jianyue spoke, she was almost drooling. She reached out and opened the car door. The little girl quickly got out and said, little uncle, open the box. The box she was referring to was the trunk of the car. The children's gifts and luggage were all placed in the trunk. Li Jianyue went to the back and patted the trunk. Little uncle. The little doll's clear and melodious voice quickly spread inside the house. When Lu heard Li Jianyue's voice, she quickly came out to take a look. She was overjoyed and said, little miss is back. The young masters are back too. Lu said into the car. She jogged out against the scorching sun and said, the sun is so strong. Why didn't you open an umbrella? What if you get sunburned? As she spoke, she reached out to help the children carry their luggage. When she looked up, she saw Li Jinan and Yi Yu in the car. She said, "Third young master, Miss Yi, sir and madam are back. Would you like to come in and sit for a while?" Li Jinan subconsciously glanced at Yi Yu. When he saw her nervous expression, he shook his head and said, "There's no need. We still have things to do. We'll come back when we have time." Lu Sa knew a little about it. When she heard that, she didn't force it. She helped the children carry their luggage. Just as she was about to walk inside, the children stopped her. Li Mosin said, "Six grandma, we have to carry it ourselves. Dad said that we have to do our own things, especially this little one." Li Jianqian was a little disgusted and gave the luggage back to Li Jianyue. "Take it yourself." Li Jianyue was a little unhappy, but she still took it. She carried it and skipped inside. She shouted, "Great-grandpa, I'm back." Old Master Li was in a very good mood today. When he heard the voice, he laughed out loud and came out to greet her. "Ursu, you're back. Let me see if you've gained weight." As he spoke, his gaze fell on the car in front of him. The smile in his eyes deepened. "Have you seen your little uncle's girlfriend?" "Yes. Yes, she's very, very beautiful, and she's a very nice person." Li Jianyue's voice was crisp and not soft at all. Little uncle said that he would marry little aunt in the future. Chapter 15:23. Li Jianyue was a quick-witted girl. She seemed to have some idea of Captain Li's intentions, but she wasn't quite sure. When she heard that, she quickly nodded her head with a smile and replied, "Got it." Indeed, the strategy of using the children to mislead the public was very effective. Li Jinan and Yi Yu had just returned home when they received a call from home. Yi Yu looked at the time and felt that it was time to go grocery shopping. When she turned her head, she saw that Li Jinan had actually answered the call. She looked at him and saw that his lips were full of smiles. "Yeah, there's one." On the other end of the line, Qin Shuhua became excited and asked, "Really? What does she look like? What's she like? Where is she from? Has she had any friends before? Is her family clean?" The series of questions left Li Jinan speechless for a moment. He laughed and said, "Mom, you're asking so many questions at once. How am I supposed to answer all of them?" "Let me ask you the most important question," Qin Shuhua said. "Do you really like her? Does she like you? Don't you think that you're the one who's hot-headed and she's not interested in you? That wouldn't be fun." Qin Shuhua's worries weren't without reason. Li Jinan had been in the military for so many years. Even though he had already retired, his military instincts were still there. It wasn't just his physique. Even the way he spoke and did things exuded the authority of a colonel. How could an ordinary girl stand it? Li Jinan laughed and replied, "How can that be? Look at your son. He's handsome and suave. Who wouldn't like him?" Qin Shuhua was tickled by him and retorted, "Get lost. I'm being serious here." "I'm being serious too. Actually, we've been together for a long time. We just didn't bring it home." Li Jinan chose his words carefully and said, "I was afraid that you would find her too young." When she heard that, Qin Shuhua immediately felt a sense of crisis. She asked, "How old is she? Is she still a minor?" "No, that won't do." "How could that be?" Li Jinan was defeated by her wild imagination and said, "She's 5 years younger than me." Qin Shuhua immediately heaved a sigh of relief. "You scared me. 5 years is not that old. Look at your second brother and sister-in-law. They are 6 years apart. When your grandfather wanted your second brother to marry Qianqian, I thought that the 6-year difference would be a clash of zodiac signs and they wouldn't be able to get along. Who would have thought that they would be fine? It's fine as long as they are clean and young. Don't worry. It's absolutely clean. Li Jinan guaranteed. Grandpa knows their family. Their family background is clean. Qin Shuhua let out a sigh of relief and whispered, "Is the girl next to you?" "Yes. Hide for a while. Mom wants to talk to you about something else." When Li Jinan heard the mysterious look on Qin Shuhua's face, he knew that what she was about to say was anything but simple. Indeed, the moment he moved to the side, Qin Shuhua said, "I'm not talking about whether her family background is clean or not. I trust you about her family background. What's more important is whether the girl has had any friends before and whether she's clean or not." When Li Jinan heard that, he felt a little uncomfortable and replied, "Mom, what are you talking about? Naturally, I have to take responsibility for her. That's why I'm with her." Chapter 15:24. I have something to do, and Yu is thin-skinned. She thinks it's too early to meet her parents, so she left without any preparation. Qin Shuhua rebuked, "We'll be family sooner or later. Don't be shy." "Alright, Mom, let's talk about it later. I'm going to buy groceries with her." "Io, you're different now that you have a partner. You can even buy groceries and cook." Qin Shuhua was happy from the bottom of her heart. "Hurry up and go. When you're ready, let me know, and I'll prepare food for you." "Alright, goodbye." He turned his head and realized that Yi Yu was sitting on the sofa and looking at him. She looked like she was in a daze. He walked over to her and leaned over to cup her face. He gently sucked on her lips and said, "My mom called me. She asked me to take you home to see her." When Yi Yu heard that, she reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist. She asked, "Didn't you tell your mother about me?" "No." Li Jinan took the opportunity to suppress it. "She'll find out sooner or later. Let her cherish it for a period of time first. Once she's mentally prepared, we'll let her know." Yi Yu felt that something was amiss and asked, "If your mother finds out that you lied to her, will she be angry?" "How is this cheating? I just didn't say some things." "It's not cheating." Li Jinan pulled her up. "Let's go." Yi Yu accepted his explanation. She stood up lazily and followed him out the door. At 4:00 in the afternoon, the sun was still strong. Yi Yu had specially brought a parasol with her. After sprinkling some water on it, she walked out the door. Li Jinan naturally took the umbrella and asked, "What would you like to eat?" "I can do anything." "What about you?" "Me too." Yi Yu replied, "Can you make a request?" "I'll see if I'm up to it." Braised eggplant, fish head tofu soup, boiled prawns, that's all. Didn't you say that you could do anything?" "Yes," Li Jinan said with a smile in his eyes. He looked at her and said, "I'm not picky. Do you eat coriander?" "Oh. I don't want to eat it." "Do you eat carrots?" "I won't take it. It's for contraception." She suddenly felt that she shouldn't have asked those questions. She shut her mouth and turned her head away. But when he saw someone selling chives, his eyes immediately lit up. Many people could not stand the strong taste of chives. "Do you eat chives?" Yi Yu asked with a smile. Li Jinan tilted his head and looked her in the eye. He replied, "If necessary, you can eat it." "When necessary." Chives have another name. "Ah. Why didn't I know about this?" "You must know about the aphrodisiac grass." Yi Yu replied, "Pretend I never asked." The smile in Li Jinan's eyes deepened as he replied, "Yi Yu." Yi Yu was just thinking about how she was going to buy the ingredients. When she heard his voice, she turned her head. Before she could react, she saw Li Jinan suddenly bend down and plant a huge kiss on her lips. His voice wasn't soft, and it was very eye-catching. Yi Yuyu felt the sun above her head burn brighter, and the light became more blinding. In an instant, her face and body began to burn. Yi Yuyu quickly turned around and walked in front. Her heart was beating like thunder. It was as if everyone was looking at her. Chapter 1525. It was the 20th day since she arrived at a small town in Jiangnan. Enchanting had found a job as a tutor in the town and had been working for a week. The student's house was very clean and it was not far from her rented house, so it was easy to get to and from work. In addition to being a tutor, Enchanting often helped to plant flowers and do handicrafts in the neighborhood. The neighbors all liked her very much. In the 9th week of pregnancy, her morning sickness became more and more serious. She couldn't eat much every day and her body became thinner and thinner. As a woman who lived alone and had obvious pregnancy symptoms, many people noticed that she was different. Many people would come to her and ask, "Where's your husband? Where's the child's father? No matter what, you should go home first." It's not easy for a pregnant woman. Every time she heard such words, Enchanting just smiled and did not answer. It was another tired day. When she returned to her small rented house, Enchanting took out her computer as usual and opened a document to edit. July 28th, sunny. It was another day of tutoring. From an English teacher for 1 or 2 students, she slowly became a tutor for all subjects. Her working hours had also increased from 1 hour to 5 hours. Wang Shui's parents said they would raise my salary by 10 yuan. I was very happy. The income was good, there were no worries, the weather was sunny, and the town was friendly. Everything was fine. Today, she vomited more than yesterday. She couldn't eat breakfast and her face was pale. Fortunately, she still had makeup, so she looked more refreshed. The baby was growing bigger and bigger. She didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. On the 20th day of leaving, everything was fine, Manting. It was another day of nightmares. When Shenluo woke up, he was sweating profusely. In the dream, Enchanting looked at him with a sad smile on her face. There was no sorrow or pain, but it was full of sorrow and pain. It was very contradictory, but Shenluo could clearly feel the contradictory emotions. It was as if Enchanting was by his side, looking at him with such an indescribable complexity that penetrated straight into his heart. Shenluo got up and was a little upset. He lit a cigarette and leaned against the headboard, exhaling a long puff of smoke. In the darkness, everything was dark except for the orange-red spark in the middle of his long finger, which was faintly flickering. Enchanting left, without any news or explanation. He just disappeared from his world without a trace. Every night, he would press down on that body, the body that he had only tried. It had been almost a month since he had last touched it. Sorrow came from the heart. Even Shenluo himself didn't know what he was sad about. Everything came out of the blue, but it caught him off guard. Shenluo's eyes stung from the smoke. The loneliness of the night assaulted him layer by layer. In a few days, it would be his and Guan Kui's wedding, but he did not feel the slightest bit of joy as a groom. Everything seemed to have nothing to do with him. He picked up his phone and clicked on the photo his friend had sent him. Yi Yuyu was sitting opposite a young man. She was eating quietly with her head lowered. However, the expression on his face was very relaxed. The figure that had been blurry for a long time in his mind became clearer and clearer. Really, long time no see, dash. Chapter 1526. Early in the morning, Yi Yuyu stretched her back. Her body was so sore that it felt like it was going to collapse. The moment she moved, the bones in her body creaked, and she felt a lot more comfortable. But before he could fully stretch, he was grabbed by a lecherous hand. Li Jinan nuzzled against her neck. His chin, which was still covered in stubble, tickled her. Yi Yu turned her head away in disgust. She pushed his head away and said, "Don't do that. It's ticklish." Li Jinan acted as if he hadn't heard her. He continued to tease her fair skin and asked, "Where is it ticklish? Here. Here. Or here?" Yi Yu's body was ticklish. She laughed and pushed him away. "Stop it." "Yeah." Li Jinan hugged her and said, "Kiss me." "No." Yi Yu flipped over and faced her back. Li Jinan's eyes were mischievous as he kissed her from behind. He worshipped her carefully and caressed her lightly. His movements were extremely gentle. "Then I'll kiss you. Do you miss me?" His lips were on her skin. He slowly moved up and asked, "Where should I kiss you?" Yi Yu's breathing grew heavy. Her body was reacting to his touch. Her body remained stiff and refused to move. She said, "Go away. I want to sleep. It's getting late. You should get up." "No." Yi Yu shut her eyes tightly and refused to get up. Li Jinan sighed softly and said, "My mom is coming over today." His words were like a heavy bomb that suddenly dropped on Yi Yu's heart. Yi Yu's eyes flew open. She was shocked. She turned around and looked at Li Jinan. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she asked, "What?" "I said, my mom is coming over today." Yi Yu couldn't sleep anymore. She sat up abruptly and threw the blanket aside to get out of bed. She was naked, but she didn't care. She rushed into the bathroom. Li Jinan laughed and called out, "She's not here yet. Don't be nervous." Yi Yu screamed, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" As she screamed, she looked at her body in the mirror. The bruises were stacked on top of each other. It looked as if she had been subjected to inhumane torture. How could such a situation be concealed? Heavens, he clearly knew that his mother was coming, but he still sucked so much. He was simply a bastard. When Li Jinan heard that, he seemed to be in a good mood. He replied, "Didn't I tell you now? It's only 6:00. It's still early." Yi Yu was on the verge of a breakdown. She quickly wet a towel with hot water and placed it on her neck where her clothes couldn't easily cover. It was just that it was scalded to the point where it didn't seem to go down by much. She suddenly thought of something and yelled out, "Does your mother know that we're together?" "Of course she knows." Li Jinan yawned nonchalantly. He shifted into a more comfortable position and said, "If she didn't know, she wouldn't have come to see me." In other words, this time, his mother mainly came to see him. Yi Yu put the hot towel down. It was a little messy. Chapter 15:27. Li Jinan grunted from the blow. He quickly turned around and pulled her into his arms as he replied, "No." She decided on it at the last minute. "I couldn't do anything about it." As he spoke, his large hands moved to touch her body. When he saw the red mark on her neck, he asked, "Why is it so red?" Yi Yu slapped his hand away. "It's all your fault. You didn't even warn me. Look. Look. Look." Yi Yu pointed at herself. "How could you not know your limits? That's too much." Li Jinan grabbed her hand and said, "Where? You won't be able to see anything if you put on your clothes. Don't think too much about it. Clothes won't cover it at all." Yi Yu grew even angrier. She punched him twice. Li Jinan carried her and rolled in a circle. He pinned her under his body and said, "I'll get some clothes to cover it up." Yi Yu pushed his face away. Go away. Get up. When is your mother coming? I don't know, but she's definitely sleeping right now. Li Jinan put all his weight on her and said, they don't wake up this early. Why don't you sleep a little longer? Yi Yu was furious. She reached out and smacked him on the arm. Weren't you the one who woke me up? Oh. Li Jinan chuckled. I was wrong. Let's sleep a little longer. Yi Yu couldn't sleep. She pushed him away and pressed herself on top of him. This is the first time I'm meeting your mother. Should I dress up a little? There's no need. My mother doesn't like to wear heavy makeup. You can just wear what you usually do. Then, should I dress a little nicer? You look good in anything. Yi Yu's lips broke into a smile. She couldn't resist pushing him away. Be serious. I'm very serious, Li Jinan boasted shamelessly. He grabbed her hand and placed it on his chest. Touch my conscience. It's burning hot. It's so real. Yi Yu couldn't resist laughing out loud. Shameless. Yeah. That's what I want. If it weren't for this face, would I have been able to get a wife? Li Jinan kissed her on the lips. Can you still sleep? What do you think? If you can't sleep, why don't we do some morning exercise? Li Jinan's eyes turned into crescents with a hint of mischief. Yi Yu glared at him and replied, I'll kill you. With that, she raised her knee and pushed him away. I'm not coming. What are you thinking about? Li Jinan looked a little exasperated as he faintly said, I was thinking of going for a jog with you and buying some breakfast on the way. That way, I won't have to cook. Your thoughts are so bad. Yi Yu grew even angrier. She stood up and sat to the side as she exclaimed, You tricked me. Of course not. You were the one who thought wrongly. How can you blame me? Li Jinan caught up with her and said, Get up, get dressed, and go jogging. Yi Yu didn't want to move at all. She said pitifully, My legs are weak. Let me give you a massage. As he spoke, he placed Yi Yu down and pulled her legs apart. His movements were meticulous. Yi Yu was ticklish. She winced as he rubbed her. She laughed out loud. Ticklish. It feels good. Li Jinan applied even more force. His hands moved higher and higher. It was getting more and more arousing. Yi Yu shrunk her legs back. Her breathing quickened as she asked, Why are you? Li Jinan couldn't bear it any longer. He pounced on her and asked, What's wrong with me? Yeah. Yi Yu narrowed her eyes and hugged him. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Both of them froze. Their movements froze on the spot. Dash. Chapter 15:28. This time, it wasn't just Yi Yu who was shocked. Even Li Jinan was shocked. Almost at the same time, both of them straightened up. Yi Yu immediately pushed him away and scrambled to put on her clothes. Li Jinan appeared much calmer. When he saw how flustered Yi Yu was, he said, Don't be nervous. It might not be my mother. Yi Yu rummaged through her clothes. Without turning her head, she said, You're still talking. Hurry up and open the door. Only then did Li Jinan slowly climb out of bed. After looking for his clothes, he casually put on a set of home clothes before leisurely walking out. The doorbell was still ringing. Li Jinan slowly walked over and asked, You're here. Who is it? Qin Shuhua had been left at the door for quite some time. She was a little annoyed, but when she looked at the time, she suppressed her annoyance and said, Brat, hurry up and open the door. Li Jinan opened the door with a sleepy look on his face. Especially when she saw Qin Shuhua, she was shocked and said, "Mom, why are you here so early?" Seeing him like this, Qin Shuhua quietly pulled him to the side and asked, "Where's the girl? Is she with you?" "Yeah." Li Jinan yawned. "You're here too early. You told me you were coming today, but you didn't say what time." Qin Shuhua had been prepared for this. Since she was going to live with her son, any advance notice would be in vain. If he wanted to find out the true colors of his future daughter-in-law, he could only conduct a surprise inspection. Qin Shuhua looked inside and said, "Where is he? Where did he go? Are you still asleep?" "That's right. It's so early and we're not farming or chopping firewood. There's nothing to do even if we wake up. It's better to sleep a little longer." He went to the kitchen to wash his hands and poured a cup of warm water for Qin Shuhua. "Did you come alone?" "Of course. Do you expect your father to come?" Qin Shuhua gave him a look that said, "You're spouting nonsense." She took the water from his hand and asked, "Did the girl know that I was coming?" "I didn't tell her." Li Jinan lied through his teeth. "I was thinking of giving her a surprise, but you came so early and turned it into a shock." When Qin Shuhua heard that, she looked at her son and said, "Why didn't you tell her in advance?" "That's too much. You're not bad either." Li Jinan pushed her to sit on the sofa. "I haven't brushed my teeth yet." "Mom, take a seat. I'll go wash up." "Hurry up." Qin Shuhua smiled. She was delighted. "So, you two are living together. How long have you been living together?" "Not long, I'll tell you later." "Good, good, good." Qin Shuhua's eyes followed his back. When she saw Li Jinan walk in, she immediately stood up and looked around. The furnishings were very Li Jinan style. They were very simple. However, it looked like it had added a lot of feminine flair to it. That was something that Li Jinan would never put on. For example, there was a doll on the bookshelf on the wall, a beautiful picture frame on the display cabinet, an oil painting on the wall. Most importantly, the surroundings were very clean. There wasn't a speck of dust. After looking inside, Qin Shuhua realized that Li Jinan wouldn't be coming out anytime soon. She headed back to the kitchen. Whether a woman was virtuous or not, whether she was clean or not, the most important thing was to look at the kitchen. Chapter 1529. When Qin Shuhua entered, she saw the neatly arranged electrical appliances. There was an electric rice cooker, an induction cooker, an electric juicer, and a microwave oven. They all looked new. She looked around and opened the disinfection cabinet. The utensils were neatly stacked. She opened the refrigerator. Fruits, eggs, milk, drinks, snacks. Everything was there. Li Jinan wouldn't have prepared these things. It had to have been prepared by that woman. It seemed like she knew how to live her life. Li Jinan didn't know how to take care of himself, and he wasn't willing to return to the old manner. Having such a woman take care of him seemed like a good idea. Qin Shuhua nodded her head. She was very satisfied. She looked at the floor. It was so clean that not a single strand of hair could be seen. Not bad. Not bad. She moved to the living room, sofa, and other places. Everything was neatly arranged. Not bad. That's right. Just this collection and organization alone was enough to put Li Jinan down. Suddenly, there was a commotion inside. Qin Shuhua quickly sat down on the sofa. From the sound of the footsteps, it wasn't Li Jinan's. It was the light footsteps of a woman. Qin Shuhua turned her head and immediately saw a woman in a white dress. She looked to be in her 20s. Her features were delicate and quiet. She wore a long sleeveless white dress without makeup. Her hair was neither too long nor too short and fell to the side of her ears. She looked clean and refreshing. When Yi Yu saw that Qin Shuhua's face bore some resemblance to Li Jinan's, she immediately knew who she was. She smiled shyly and greeted, "Hello, Auntie." Qin Shuhua had heard about Yi Yu's situation and various descriptions, but the feeling was nowhere near as intense as seeing her in person. She looked like a very clean and shy girl. Qin Shuhua stood up and smiled at Yi Yu. "Hello, you must be Miss Yi, right?" "Yes, Auntie. You can just call me Yu." Yi Yu walked over. When she saw that Qin Shuhua had a glass of water in front of her, she immediately extended her hand and said, "Please take a seat. Would you like a drink? I bought some drinks yesterday and put them on the shelf." "It's fine. I'm not thirsty." Qin Shuhua smiled and said, "You take a seat too." "You take a seat too." Yi Yu's heart raced. She was extremely nervous. This was the first time Yi Yu had experienced the feeling of meeting her parents. She had grown up with Shen Luo and, so naturally, she had met his parents before. Therefore, even when they were talking about marriage, they didn't feel too nervous. However, Li Jinan's mother was different. Although her relationship with Li Jinan was passionate and intimate, in Yi Yu's heart, they were still far from the point where they could meet her parents. When she saw Li Jinan's mother, she felt nervous and awkward. Faced with Qin Shuhua's scrutinizing gaze, Yi Yu felt her skin crawl. "I've long heard from the kids that you're very good-looking and gentle. Now that I look at you, it's indeed true. No wonder our Nan likes you so much." Qin Shuhua's eyes turned into crescents. "Are you 25 this year?" "Yes, Auntie." "Not too young. Where did you go to school before?" "Auntie, it's in the capital." "The capital? Northerners. You can say that I'm a northerner. I grew up in Cloud Town until I was 10, and then I went to the imperial capital for more than 10 years. Chapter 1530. This was a straightforward question. "Have you talked about it?" Of course they did, and they even got married. If it weren't for Li Jinan, they might still be married. But could he say that? No. For a moment, Yi Yu was at a loss for words. He smiled sheepishly and said, "Auntie, I have." Qin Shuhua was a little disappointed when she heard that. She nodded and said, "That's true. It's normal for a girl in her 20s to have a friend. But our Nan has never been with another girl. All the kids in our family are like that. They're stubborn. Once they've decided on someone, they'll go all the way. If he's with you, it means that he wants to be with you forever." Yi Yu nodded and replied, "I know what Nan is thinking." Even though she knew about it, she was still a little unsure of what to do. Their development seemed to be a little too fast. His mother came to see her now. Was she going to discuss marriage with her? Yi Yu felt a little mystified. After she replied, she became even more nervous. She instinctively looked inside and prayed that Li Jinan would come out soon. Seeing her reaction, Qin Shuhua smiled and said, "It's good that you know. Actually, I'm not against young people dating, but if they want to date, they have to be serious about it. Don't you think so?" What was the meaning of this? Afraid that she would be too timing and let down her son. Yi Yu cursed silently in her heart. On the surface, she had no choice but to agree. "You're right, Auntie. Then how did you break up with your last boyfriend? What kind of questions were these?" Yi Yu felt bitter in her heart, but she still thought about it, weighed her words, and said, "He has another woman." Qin Shuhua had already decided to interrogate Su Qingseng a long time ago, but now she was a little shaken. Although she sympathized with him, she actually felt a bit of schadenfreude in her heart. She said, that kind of person, it's good to forget him. How can you keep a relationship with such a man? It's better to break it off as soon as possible. Otherwise, if he cheats on you, it'll be even worse. This voice was eloquent, but the more one thought about it, the more terrified they became. Weren't these words indirectly asking about her first night? Yi Yuyu's hair stood on end. What a deep trap. Fortunately, she was quick-witted. Otherwise, she would have fallen into a trap. Yi Yuyu chuckled and replied, yeah. It's a good thing I ended it early. Qin Shuhua was pleased. Just as she was about to speak again, she saw the look of surprise on Yi Yuyu's face. With one look, it was obvious that Li Jinan had arrived. Indeed, when she turned her head to look, she saw Li Jinan walking over unhurriedly. He naturally sat down beside Yi Yuyu and asked, what are you talking about? We women are just chatting. What are you doing here? Qin Shuhua glared at him. Did I come at the wrong time? Li Jinan chuckled. Mom, have you had breakfast? Not yet. When I came here, Lu Sa hadn't arrived yet. It took me almost half an hour to get here. I'll do it. Yi Yuyu immediately volunteered and said, Auntie, please take a seat. I'll make something simple. It won't take long. It's just that my skills aren't very good. Please forgive me. Regardless of whether his humble words were true or not, he managed to leave a good impression on Qin Shuhua. Qin Shuhua smiled and nodded her head. All right. Thank you, Yuyu. Auntie, you're too kind. Yi Yuyu stood up and quickly turned around. She secretly let out a sigh of relief. How scary. Dash. Chapter 1531. Seeing that Yi Yuyu had left, Qin Shuhua's eyes were filled with satisfaction. She stood up and walked over to Li Jinan. After sitting down, she whispered, How long have you known Yi Yuyu? Quite a while. I've known her since last year. Li Jinan leaned against the back of the sofa. He looked a little sleepy. Qin Shuhua clapped her hands happily and exclaimed, You rascal. Why didn't you tell me? It's already been half a year. You've known each other for at least a year, haven't you? Li Jinan thought about it and did some calculations before replying, more or less. How long have you been together? Together, if they were officially together, it didn't seem to be that long, half a month. A month? They had been living together for a month or 2 weeks. If he told Qin Shuhua about this, would she think that Yi Yuyu was being too casual? Li Jinan thought about it for a moment before replying, a few months. I can't remember. When did you start living together? Not too long. About half a month. Qin Shuhua's eyes turned into crescents as she said, That's great. That's great. My sons have grown up. Every one of them has a partner. That's great. As she spoke, she lowered her voice and asked, Have you done anything that only a married couple can do? Li Jinan suddenly felt a little awkward. He cleared his throat and said, Mom, aren't you being a little too direct with your words? What's the big deal? You're my son. But, judging from the way you're behaving, you probably have, right? Qin Shuhua's eyes were mischievous as she said, You're enlightened, young man. Sigh. Young people these days are so open-minded. When I was with your father, it wasn't like this at all. Now that the two of you are living together, you haven't even brought your parents home to meet them. Sigh. Qin Shuhua looked a little sad as she said, But, that's good. At least you won't have to spend the rest of your life alone. This girl looks pretty good. Is she the one who cleans up the house? Does she hire a helper? Nope. She does everything. Recently, she's been the one cooking. She rarely goes out to eat. Li Jinan looked very happy as he said, her cooking is pretty good. It's even better than eating out. Try it later. Alright. Qin Shuhua narrowed her eyes and said, I heard that you brought this girl to meet your grandfather. Since you brought her back to meet your grandfather, why didn't you bring her home for us to meet as well? She's shy. What's there to be shy about? We're going to meet sooner or later. Look, we're already here. Or could it be that the lady doesn't want to be with you, so she didn't want to see us? How could that be? If you don't want to, why would you live with me? It's good that you know what to do. But, since you really want to be with her, you can take some necessary measures, Qin Shuhua whispered. Do you know how to take safety measures? Mom, is it really appropriate for you to ask such a question? There's nothing bad about it. Even a woman like me can let go. Why are you, a man, so shy? Qin Shuhua laughed and said in a low voice, You're not young anymore. Get the girl pregnant first, then bring her home. Then, you'll be responsible for her. After you marry her, she'll be yours. Mom, you've changed. Li Jinan said. Dash. Chapter 1532. To think that he had been so naive as to think that Qin Shuhua was a conservative, traditional woman. He hadn't expected her to be even more shameless than him when she said that. But, it was true that she hadn't taken any precautions recently. That was indeed what he was thinking. He had also kept a close eye on Yi Yu. She hadn't had a chance to go out and buy medicine. When Qin Shuhua heard what Li Jinan said, she rebuked, Mommy is doing this for your own good. You can't go wrong listening to Mommy. The moment she said that, she heard Yi Yu's footsteps coming from inside. When Qin Shuhua heard that, she immediately shut her mouth and fell silent. Yi Yu felt a little strange. She had just heard them chatting. Although she couldn't hear what they were saying, their voices hadn't stopped. Why was it so quiet the moment she arrived? Could it be that he was talking about her? Yi Yu's heart raced, but she didn't say anything. She put down the breakfast in her hands and said, It's time to eat, Auntie. Li Jinan stood up and leaned over to ask, What did you make? As he spoke, he naturally reached his hand out and wrapped it around her waist. Yi Yu immediately reacted and pushed him away. In a low voice, she rebuked, Your mother is still here. Go away. Although her voice was soft, Qin Shuhua heard it clearly. She pretended not to see or hear anything and walked over to take a look at the breakfast she had prepared. It was a simple breakfast. A pot of porridge, a simple side dish divided into 3 portions, a poached egg, and sausages. The side dish looked like a side dish, but Qin Shuhua couldn't quite put her finger on it. After washing her hands in the kitchen, Yi Yu followed. After retrieving the bowls and chopsticks, she slowly filled the porridge. She scooped a bowl for each of them and naturally sat beside Li Jinan. She said, This is a specialty from my hometown. Try it. You probably can't get it in Kingstown. My father pickled it himself, and I processed it a little. The dish was still warm. Qin Shuhua took a bite. Her eyes were filled with amazement. What is this? Yi Yu couldn't quite put her finger on it. She replied, In my hometown, it's called Yunhan. I don't know how to translate it in Mandarin. My father made it himself. It's said to be an ancestral skill. Qin Shuhua nodded and said, It is indeed delicious. He scooped a spoonful of porridge and tasted it. The porridge is cooked well, and the eggs look good. Yi Yu was a little embarrassed by the compliment. Her reaction to Qin Shuhua was a little unexpected. She had thought that the person Li Jinan said was difficult to deal with would definitely be difficult to deal with. She had been prepared to be scolded and despised. She hadn't expected that Yi Yu would show no signs of it. This made her heave a sigh of relief. However, he did not dare to relax and said, "Thank you, Auntie. If you like it, eat more. I made a lot." Okay, you eat too." Qin Shuhua was all smiles. After she finished eating, she sat down for a while and chatted with Yi Yu about daily life. It was considered a form of familiarization before she reluctantly left. The driver, Xiao Qin, had been waiting for a long time. When he saw Qin Shuhua come out, he immediately walked over and opened the door. Qin Shuhua sat in the back seat and said, "Xiao Qin, help me look into Jinnan's girlfriend. I feel like I've seen her somewhere before. She looks familiar." Dash. Chapter 1533. Xiao Qin hadn't seen Yi Yu. When he heard that, he glanced at her and replied, "I'm guessing it's a common face. There are too many people who look alike these days. Whenever a celebrity becomes popular, many people have plastic surgery. It's almost like a knockoff. That girl doesn't look like she's had plastic surgery. She's quite pretty. How does she compare to second young madam?" Qin Shuhua muttered to herself for a moment before replying, "There's no comparison. Qian looks like a child. Her face is small, and her features are small. She looks young, too. That girl looks quite good. One look and you can tell she's from China." Xiao Qin understood. "Oh. Classic beauty. Not really, but it's pretty close. Her name is Yi Yu. She says she's from Yun Town. Do a check." "Sure." Xiao Qin started the car. "But that name is too common. There are many people with similar names. Yun Town is quite a big place." "Her father's name is Yi Zhenhua," Qin Shuhua replied. "All right, leave it to me. Shall we go back to the old manor now?" "No. Let's go to Mrs. Chang's for a while." "Okay." Yi Yu only breathed a sigh of relief when she saw the car drive away. When she turned her head, she saw Li Jinan sitting on the sofa. His eyes were closed, and he looked very comfortable. Yi Yu walked over and asked, "Say, do you think your mother likes me a lot when she's like that?" "Yeah. She likes you a lot." Li Jinan stood up and pressed his forehead against hers. He hugged her and whispered, "Do you know what she told me just now?" Yi Yu looked up. Their noses were touching as she asked, "What is it?" "She asked me." Li Jinan lowered his head and planted a kiss on her lips. "What's done cannot be undone. Then, I'll kidnap you home." Yi Yu chuckled and replied, "I didn't expect your mother to be so open-minded. I thought you said she was difficult to deal with and that she was a traditional old lady. I didn't expect your mother to be so easy to talk to." "Yeah. I didn't expect that either. But I think her idea wasn't bad." "Pfft, wasn't it already cooked? I don't think she'll take me home now." Yi Yu tried to push him away, but he wouldn't budge. "Go away. I'll go clean up." "What's there to clean?" Li Jinan pressed his lips against the side of her face and said, "It's already cooked. Of course I have to eat it." Yi Yu had a bad feeling about this. As expected, Li Jinan captured her lips with his. With a turn of his body, the two of them fell onto the sofa together. "Oh." Yi Yu was a little resistant. It was the middle of the day. It wasn't good. He didn't give her a chance to speak. In a husky voice, he asked, "Yi Yu, how does it feel to be with me?" As he spoke, his hands didn't stop moving. He moved his hands up and down, lifted her skirt, and explored the bottom of her skirt. Yi Yuyu's breathing grew heavy. She looked up to press his hand down and said, You're too lecherous, lust. Li Jinan chuckled. His actions became more forceful as he pulled the fabric off her body. This is called love. His voice was husky and deep. It was so magnetic that it made her shiver. Yi Yuyu hooked her thighs around his hips. Her eyes were misty. Do you love me? This is love. Li Jinan pinned her down and pressed her into the depths of the sofa. His arms encircled her. One was masculine, while the other was petite. As he lay on top of her, Li Jinan felt a sense of pride as a man. Chapter 1534. Marry me. Be the mother of my child. Li Jinan leaned close to her ear. His hot breath blew beside her ear, and his voice was so serious that she couldn't help but be intoxicated by it. His actions were gentle, and his voice was gentle. Do you want to marry me? Let's get married tomorrow. Shen Luohan's voice seemed to ring out in her mind. His voice was slow and indifferent. There was no love, no warmth, no longing, and no tenderness when he proposed. Just like that, she got married to the man she had loved for a long time, the childhood sweetheart whom she had once regarded as her life. There was no wedding gown, no sacred vows. There was only a marriage certificate and a pair of rings that she had casually bought. Other than that, there was nothing between them. Oh, right. Now, they each had a divorce certificate to prove that their marriage had failed and was unbearable to look back on. I've already married you. What else do you want? Yi Yuyu's eyes burned, and her heart ached. Li Jinan's face was right in front of her as she hugged the man in front of her. His deep, almond-shaped eyes were gazing deeply at her. Li Jinan's eyes were unreadable. He reached out and gently stroked the ends of her hair. In a low voice, he asked, "What's wrong?" Yi Yuyu shook her head. It was only a slight movement, but the tears in her eyes fell. Li Jinan gently kissed the tears away and said in a low voice, "If you're not ready, I'll wait a little longer." Yi Yuyu shook her head and hugged him even tighter. She asked, "Where's the ring?" Li Jinan was stunned. What? You're asking me to marry you, but you don't even have a ring. Aren't you being too stingy? Yi Yuyu teased him. Her eyes were brimming with tears, but her face was smiling. It was as dazzling as a flower. Li Jinan was stunned for a moment. Then, the smile on his face widened. Finally, he laughed out loud and said, "I'll buy it now." Yi Yuyu hugged him and raised her head to kiss him on the lips. Gently, with salty tears, he gently teased. Li Jinan couldn't help himself. He pressed her down on the sofa and unleashed his crazy love. When the two of them were done, they had already woken up from their afternoon nap. Most of the day had passed. Li Jinan pulled her out of bed. After putting on his own clothes, he hurriedly drove to the nearby mall. This was not the first time he had entered a jewelry store, but it was the first time he had bought a ring. Yi Yuyu asked, "How about this?" "Yeah, it's nice," Li Jinan replied. "What about this?" Not bad." "What about this?" "As long as you like it." Yi Yuyu was a little unhappy. "Why are you being so perfunctory?" Li Jinan looked at her and rubbed his head as he remarked, "The ones you've chosen are all pretty." The lady at the counter secretly laughed, which made Yi Yuyu even more unhappy. She put all the things she liked in a row together and said, "Pick one." There were 5 of them in the row, and each of them had a particularly beautiful design. Under the light from the counter, the diamonds shone especially brightly. Li Jinan looked around and felt that it was quite nice. He couldn't tell which one was nice and which one wasn't. When he saw that Yi Yu was showing signs of anger, he pretended to pick. He picked the one with the largest diamond and pointed to it. This one. Why? It's nice. It looks like you. Yi Yu's lips curled up and she said, then, this one. Dash. Chapter 1535. After paying the bill, the two of them had dinner together. When Li Jinan got into his car, his mind was filled with thoughts. When does the Civil Affairs Bureau close? He looked at the time. It was already 5 p.m. Even if they didn't close, there would be a long line of people. Tomorrow is the weekend, what should I do? Li Jinan was distracted. His mind was a mess. Yi Yu reached out to touch him and asked, what are you thinking about? Li Jinan snapped out of his daze and asked, do you think we should get engaged first, or just get married? Yi Yu asked, are you thinking about that? Yeah. Why don't we get our marriage certificate first? Li Jinan's eyes turned into crescents. Since we've been together for quite some time, getting our marriage certificate first is more or less the same. It's not even close. Yi Yu puffed up her cheeks and said, your mom doesn't know that I'm divorced yet. What if she finds out and doesn't agree to us being together? That's not a problem. We'll get our marriage certificate first. She won't be able to do anything about it then. How can that be? Why not? It's fine. If your mom asks us to get a divorce, will you do it? No. Won't you listen to your mom? If I listen to my mom, I won't be able to get a wife. Why should I listen to her? Yi Yu chuckled when she heard that. Will your mom die of anger if she hears that? No, she won't. If she dies of anger just like that, my second brother's scandal alone is enough to kill her many times over. Li Jinan wasn't soft-hearted when it came to selling out his brother. Don't worry. It's safe. Yi Yu didn't believe him, but she didn't have a better idea. She looked out into the distance. It was rush hour, and cars were coming and going. After a moment of silence, Yi Yu said, Shenluo An's wedding is the day after tomorrow. Guan Kui sent me an invitation. Li Jinan raised his eyebrows and laughed. You're that shameless. You sent an invitation to your ex-wife just like that. Yeah. I'm wondering if I should go. The smile on Li Jinan's face faded. He glanced at her sideways and asked, do you still have feelings for him? Yi Yu laughed bitterly and looked out the window. Would you believe me if I said I didn't? Li Jinan was silent. He drove steadily, but he didn't feel comfortable. Yes, he wouldn't believe it. Childhood sweetheart, first love, ex-girlfriend, and even ex-husband. Perhaps all these relationships would make her unable to forget them. Even though her first night was given to him. Even though they were not husband and wife. But it was a fact that they had loved each other for so many years, how could they not feel anything? But since it was Shenluo An's wedding, there was no harm in going. Go. Li Jinan looked ahead without turning his head. Go and let them see how you're doing. You'll be able to live a better life without him. Yes, better. Li Jinan didn't dare to say anything else, but compared to Shenluo An, at least he was more like a human. Getting along with people was always better than getting along with animals. He continued, while you're at it, you can also pay that sister of yours a visit. Isn't she crazy? Now that she's married, don't tell me she's going crazy as well. Yi Qianqian looked at Yi Qianqian. Yi Yu didn't know, but Guan Kui's condition must have improved a lot for the wedding to be held. Especially when she thought about how blissfully Guan Kui had hugged her wedding gown in the hospital, Yi Yu's heart ached. Chapter 1536. August 3rd, cloudy, light rain. The weather wasn't great. I didn't go to homeschooling and slept at home. I didn't eat much, so I didn't vomit. Today was Shenluo Han's wedding. Everyone on WeChat was congratulating him. It was said that he was marrying his childhood sweetheart. He hasn't divorced Yi Yu for long, and he's already looking for his next wife. Ha, that bastard is even more inhumane than I thought. What's worse is that I want to give birth to his little bastard. When it's grown up, I'll take it home and tell him, look, your little bastard is back. That would be a wonderful scene. Shenluo Ben, I wish you a happy wedding and never a happy one. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The rain poured down. Outside the dark window, it was gloomy. The dark clouds seemed to be pressing down on the top of one's head. The lights in the room weren't turned on. An orange-red flame flickered in the room. Young master, it's time. We should leave. Any later and it won't be good. Nanny Lu's urging voice could be heard again. Shenluo and looked out the window at the pouring rain. He felt the same way. It was an indescribable pressure. Today was the day of his wedding. But Shenluo and didn't feel that it was his wedding day. Such a day was like a noose around his neck. It tightened inch by inch, choking him until he couldn't breathe. Shenluo and put out his cigarette and stood up. He picked up his suit jacket from the chair and walked out step by step. The crisp sound of his leather shoes sounded especially lonely in the quiet room where only the sound of the heavy rain could be heard. Shenluo and is getting married again. When Yi Yu arrived, there were many familiar faces. Many of them were Shenluo Han's friends. When they saw Yi Yu, they were surprised. Especially when he saw Li Jinan, his shock was even more obvious. Isn't that the ex-sister-in-law? Why is she here? I think Shenluo and or the bride called her. After all, the three of them grew up together. Who's the man next to the ex-sister-in-law? That guy looks familiar. Did he appear in a magazine before? Of course. He was last year's richest bachelor of the year. His surname is Li. His name is Li Jinan. Li Jinan. People from Kingstown. Li Xiqing's younger brother. Yes. It's him. The discussions around them did not affect the two people who were walking side by side. Li Jinan looked around and saw a few familiar faces. He nodded at them as a form of greeting before following Yi Yu into the building. The bridesmaids looked very strong. Yi Yu didn't know any of them. Guan Kui had been in the hospital for so long. How could she have gotten to know so many people? The girls were probably hired with money. They were all very pretty, and all of them wore heavy makeup. There was still a gap between them and their circle. Wow, that Li Jinan sure is brave. He actually dared to come with his sister-in-law. Ha ha ha. I reckon that the news of Li Jinan picking up used shoes will be exposed by the media tomorrow. TSK, what a heavy taste. Does he know how Yi Yu was violated by Shenluo Han? That's simply not treating them as humans. Shoo, don't talk nonsense. You'll die when Luo Han comes out. Chapter 1537. As the two main characters in the conversation, they had no idea that they were being discussed in such a manner. Li Jinan and Yi Yu sat at the side chatting. They didn't seem to notice the commotion around them. A young and slender woman walked over. Her features bore a striking resemblance to Yi Yu's. When Li Jinan saw her walk over, he recognized her immediately. She must be Yi Yu's mother. He nudged Yi Yu lightly and called out, "Behind you." Yi Yu turned her head and saw Yi Tian immediately. Yi Tian was dressed exquisitely. She wore a black gown that fitted her figure perfectly. She exuded an aura of elegance and nobility. This was the aura that she had developed after living with Guan Yanhong. This was something that she had never possessed while she was with Yi Zhenhua. Money, wealth, aura, elegance. When Yi Yuyu looked at Yi Tian, the first thing that came to her mind was the bright rose in her home in Yun Town. It was fiery red with prickly thorns. But Yi Zhenhua had continued to love it without any hesitation. It had been like this for decades. You're here. Yi Tian smiled gracefully. When Kuei sees you, he'll be very happy. Yi Yuyu forced a smile and replied, is that so? That's good. Yi Tian's expression remained impassive. She looked at Li Jinan and asked, and this is? My fiancé. Yi Yuyu looked directly at Yi Tian and replied, his name is Li Jinan. Fiancé. Yi Tian's brows creased together as she asked, when did you get a fiancé? You only divorced Shenluo, and not long ago, and you already have a fiancé. When Yi Yuyu heard that, she was amused and replied, how long has it been since I divorced Shenluo? He even married your other daughter at that time. Why is it that he can get married, but I can't have a fiancé? How is that the same? Yi Tian exclaimed. You're a girl. People will say that you're a loose woman if you behave like this. Oh. Realization dawned on Yi Yuyu's face. She looked at Yi Yuyu with a faint smile. She had a hint of Li Jinan's charm as she said, if I'm a fickle woman, then you took your daughter and ran off with another man. Does that count as promiscuous? When Yi Tian heard that, she couldn't contain her anger. Her face turned red with anger. She raised her hand and aimed it at Yi Yuyu's face. However, before it could fall, it was grabbed by a large hand. Li Jinan's eyes were cold as he looked at Yi Tian and said, Mrs. Guan, please conduct yourself with dignity. Yi Tian was taken aback. She became even angrier as she glared at Yi Yuyu. Yi Yuyu continued to sit there calmly. She raised her head to look at her. Her eyes seemed to contain a hint of provocation. Do you know who I am? I'm Yi Yuyu's mother. Yi Tian retracted her hand and said angrily, how could I not know anything about marriage? Fiancé. Heh, what kind of fiancé is that? I don't agree. Does it count if you say it? Yi Yuyu stood up. Her eyes were calm. Don't flatter yourself. Didn't you already make your decision a long time ago? Guan Kuei is your daughter, and Guan Yanhong is your husband. You are a family. I'm just an outsider. That's how I've been all these years, hasn't it? Chapter 1538. Yi Yuyu looked a little surprised. She raised her eyebrows and asked, have I changed? Why didn't I know? Yi Tian felt a little sad. She looked at Yi Yuyu and said, Yuyu, no one blamed you for what happened back then. Kuei is all right now. I'll plead with your father to let you come home. Let's go back to how things used to be, all right? You're still my daughter. Don't go against me anymore. I'm really sad to see you like this. Yi Yuyu snorted. She felt that Yi Yuyu's expression was hypocritical to the extreme. Back then, Yi Yuyu had been the one who had accused her of framing Guan Kuei and crippling her. All these years, she and Guan Yanhong had given so many looks and scorn that they probably didn't even realize it. Now, that expression and that look on her face were as if she was really looking at her daughter. However, Yi Yuyu didn't believe it. She didn't want to, and she didn't dare to. Mommy. A voice rang out. It was Guan Kuei's voice. She sounded overjoyed. Surrounded by many people, she was dressed in a beautiful wedding gown and was the center of attention. Guan Kuei had always been pretty. With her makeup, many people turned to look at her. Her beautiful wedding gown was long and floor-length. Because Guan Kuei's health wasn't good, Guan Yanhong hadn't bothered with her. He had held the wedding at his own hotel. Everything had been handled by the Guan family. The Shen family hadn't done much. Guan Kui was in excellent condition that day. She was like a little bird as she pushed her wheelchair out. She moved quickly, and her smile was bright and radiant. "Mommy, I've been looking for you for a long time." "So, you're here." As she spoke, she looked at Yi Yuyu as if she had just noticed her presence. "Yuyu, you're here too. That's great. I'm so happy that you could come." "Thank you." She looked at the man beside her and said, "This must be the person Shen Luo and mentioned. Yuyu's new lover." Guan Kui was all smiles as she replied, "I heard that you were together with Shen Luo and before you divorced him. Now, you're getting married, aren't you? Congratulations." Those words made the people who had been paying attention to Yi Yuyu and Li Jinan look at them with a strange expression. He looked down at Guan Kui and said, "Thank you for your concern, Miss Guan. It's all thanks to you. If it weren't for your interference, I wouldn't have been able to win the heart of a beauty." Yi Yuyu was a little embarrassed. Li Jinan stepped forward at that moment and stood in front of her. Guan Kui's smile froze. Yi Tian stepped in to smooth things over and asked, "Why did you come looking for me? Where's your father?" "Dad is inside, waiting for Luo En. When Luo En comes, our wedding can be held as scheduled." Guan Kui smiled blissfully. She looked at Yi Yuyu and said, "Yuyu, thank you for coming. I have something to tell you. Can you speak to me in private?" "A few words in private." The relationship between Guan Kui and Yi Yuyu wasn't that good, was it? Li Jinan felt that something was amiss. He tugged at Yi Yuyu and asked, "Are you hungry?" Yi Yuyu could tell what was on Li Jinan's mind. It was highly likely that he didn't want her to be alone with Guan Kui. She reached out to gently push his hand away and replied, "I'm not hungry." With that, she looked at Guan Kui. "What do you want to say? You can say it now." "I want to apologize to you," Guan Kui said with a sincere expression. Guan Kui's face was full of sincerity as she said, "I wanted to speak to you in private to apologize. Also, there's something more important. Dash. Chapter 1539. Something more important, an apology. Something more important. What could it be? Was her apology related to what had happened all those years ago? Or was it related to the snatching away of her love? Or could it be something else? Yi Yuyu's curiosity was piqued when she heard that. "Yuyu, can you give me a chance? I really want to apologize to you in person." Guan Kui looked at her with sincerity in her eyes. Yi Tian looked at Yi Yuyu and said, "Yuyu, big sister is talking to you. So many years have passed, and you've been in a cold war for a long time. Can't you be more sensible? Don't make mommy and big sister worry about you." Yi Yuyu laughed when she heard Yi Tian's words and asked, "Have you really treated me as your daughter?" Yi Tian was a little annoyed when she heard that. "How could you say something like that? You hurt mommy's heart." Yi Yuyu couldn't be bothered with her anymore. She looked at Guan Kui and said, "Fine. I promise to talk to you in private." Guan Kui smiled gratefully and said, "Thank you, Yuyu. Come with me." As she spoke, Guan Kui steered the wheelchair toward the bridal room that she had always been in. Yi Yuyu followed her in. Guan Kui waited by the side. She watched Yi Yuyu enter before closing the door. The closing of the door blocked out all the noise outside. At that moment, only the two of them were left in the room. Yi Yuyu didn't give her a friendly look and asked, "What do you want to say? Hurry up and finish." "I'm leaving." Guan Kui didn't seem to mind and replied, "I have a lot to say." I'm just afraid you won't want to hear it. Her smile widened. The sweet and blissful smile that she had displayed in front of others was nowhere to be seen. At that moment, her smile seemed unfriendly and sinister. It made one feel uncomfortable. Guan Kui's wheelchair stopped behind the door. She looked at Yi Yuyu and suddenly moved. Her body slowly rose. Yi Yuyu looked at her in disbelief and asked, "Your leg has recovered?" Guan Kui's smile became even more radiant. "I like that expression on your face. You look like an idiot. Did you really think that I was crippled?" With that, she walked toward Yi Yuyu. It was obvious that her steps weren't steady. It was obvious that she was straining herself. "Do you really think that I will never recover in this life?" "Ha!" Guan Kui looked at her. "That's what everyone thinks. Even Shen Luo and thinks. If I'd known, I wouldn't have kept it a secret. That way, Shen Luo and wouldn't have run away from the wedding." It was another bombshell. Yi Yuyu was shocked. Running away from marriage. Don't play dumb. Didn't you already know that he would do such a thing? He never wanted me. You know that. That's why you divorced him so decisively. Do you think I don't know that? As Guan Kui spoke, her eyes widened. Her body trembled slightly as she said, "You know that even after the divorce, he still can't forget you. He still loves you, right?" Guan Kui's expression was indescribably ferocious. Yi Yuyu instinctively took a step back. She looked at her and said, "I don't know. If this is your so-called apology, then I know it. I don't want to accept it. Get out of my way." Chapter 1540. Yi Yuyu was caught off guard. With Guan Kui's push, her body immediately fell backward. Her whole body fell backward. Behind her was a large vanity table. The moment she fell, there was a loud clattering sound. The commotion was so loud that Yi Yuyu was in a daze. When the people outside heard the series of sounds, they finally became alert. Someone knocked on the door. "Who's inside?" When she heard the voice, Yi Yuyu opened her eyes. She realized that Guan Kui wasn't in a much better state. Guan Kui was wearing a beautiful and elegant wedding gown. She was lying on the floor, glaring at Yi Yuyu. His eyes were red as if they were filled with blood. Yi Yuyu was shocked by her sudden appearance. She instinctively shrank back. This kind of person is so scary. When she saw someone like that, Yi Yuyu immediately thought of the word crazy. Guan Kui stared at her and suddenly broke into a smile. That smile was indescribably sinister. It sent shivers down one's spine. She slowly climbed to her feet. Her legs were clearly not used to standing. They trembled as she walked to the other side. She took out a yellow cartoon quilt. On it was the face of a Kelda duck. It was squinting in an unknown direction and smiling eerily. "Help me open it." Guan Kui walked over to Yi Yuyu and handed the cup to her. "I don't have any strength. I'm thirsty." Yi Yuyu shrank back and crawled up from the floor with great difficulty. She looked at Guan Kui and didn't dare approach her. This person is crazy. If such a person were to be killed at this moment, she wouldn't be sentenced. She's crazy. Crazy people don't have to bear legal responsibility when they commit crimes. Yi Yuyu knew that very well. She felt that something was wrong. Someone was shaking the doorknob outside and yelling, "Who's inside?" Did something happen? The door had been locked from the inside. The person outside couldn't open it without the key. Guan Kui didn't seem to notice the commotion behind her. She handed the cup of Kelda duck to Yi Yuyu and said, "Yuyu, help me open it." Just like before. Yi Yuyu looked at Guan Kui. Her heart was in turmoil. In the past, before Guan Kui's accident, Guan Kui would always hand her the drink she bought. She would giggle and say, "Goddess of strength, help me open it." It was only natural. They were all smiles and there was no gap between them. But, since when did it start to change? Ever since, what happened to Guan Kui? No, even earlier, much earlier, Yi Yuyu looked at Guan Kui, but she didn't dare take the bottle. She asked, "This bottle is very easy to open. Why do you want me to open it?" "This is the bottle that Luo En gave me." Guan Kui smiled brightly. He said that he wanted me to smile even brighter. Many a time, when I smile, I look just like this duck. It's very cute. Guan Kui's face softened at the mention of Shen Luo En, but she quickly regained her composure. She looked at Yi Yuyu and said, "But, I know that the person he loves in his heart is you, Yi Yuyu." Yi Yuyu laughed when she heard that. However, this smile was filled with bitterness. "Guan Kui, you're overthinking things. I've already married you. What else do you want?" If he loved her, he would not have said such words. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.